It shall play a sound for a bit, then it will stop.
Okay.
We are live.
Good morning, good afternoon, Zimbabwe, depending on where you are. Thank you so much for joining. This is Change Radio live production. I know it has been a long time since we have been with you, but we are back, of course, because of the many things that are happening in Zimbabwe. The matter of contention right now is the constitution amendments that ZANU-PF is trying to force through the people of Zimbabwe. And of course, the resistance that the people of Zimbabwe are mounting towards that. You all know what is happening right now, that Tendai Biti and other people were arrested in Mutare today. We'll discuss that. But of course, we will be waiting for the big one, the big debate that is coming in. Dr. Mavaza and Advocate Masiye have been asked to come back again by the Methodist Church Vabvui. Isn't it nice that we have churches that are getting involved in matters that are affecting ordinary Zimbabweans? But of course, before I go any further, let me introduce my colleague here, my partner in crime, Mr. Nguwe, all the way from the United Kingdom. You'll be seeing Mr. Nguwe very frequently on this channel. You will be launching a program and doing programs, live programs on X, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on TikTok. He is going to be your friend. Mr. Nguwe, please introduce yourself and take a few minutes to greet our viewers and listeners and just delve into the issue here, the amendments that the Zimbabwean government is trying to force onto the people.
Thank you so much, Chief Professor, for having me here.
I think you are on mute.
I am not on mute. Can you hear me?
I can hear him. Chief, he's not on mute.
Is it me?
Yeah, I think Chief is having issues.
Okay, you can go ahead. I'm sure the people are hearing you. I'll go out and come back again.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chief Professor, for having me here. And Change Champion Estella. Glad to be here. We'll be part of the team going forward as we continue to escalate our fight for our country, Zimbabwe. Also for our fight, this fight that is currently happening against the mutilation of our constitution. Thank you so much. We'll not say much for now.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Nguwe. I think it was a technical fault on my side. I couldn't hear you, but now I can hear you loud and clear. Yes, the constitutional mutilation that Mr. Nguwe was talking about, it's in progress, and Zimbabweans are called upon to rise up, to stand up, to speak up, and make sure that this doesn't happen. And surely, to our credit, to the credit of all citizens, Zimbabweans are rising up. Zimbabweans are resisting what ZANU-PF is trying to do. And I told you that we are going to be connecting live to the program that has been organized by the Methodist Church of Zimbabwe, Vabvui. Those who are familiar with Methodist, you know what Vabvui means. So they asked Dr. Mavaza and Advocate Masiye to come back and talk about the Constitution. We also have our fiery sister who was there last time. You remember her video went viral when she confronted ZANU PF's Dr. Mavaza, and he could not even respond to that. She is there today. She is one of the panelists. So we are looking forward to what she has brought us today. So we'll be connecting live very soon to them, and then we'll be participating. We ask you to be writing questions wherever you are. We'll be looking at those questions, and we'll be pushing them over to the moderator, Dr. Mukwindidza, Dr. Reverend Mukwindidza. And then after the program, we'll also come back here and round up the program. But for now, I think, Estella, we are ready to connect to the main program. It should be starting anytime soon. But there is something that I just wanted to share before we connect there. That those that are watching from the diaspora, I'm sure you are very worried about what is happening, because if you saw the list of the 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 consultative meetings that have been lined up, there is nothing for diaspora, and yet they want to discuss the constitution that pertains us. They are also in the constitution issues to do with diaspora vote that concerns the people in the diaspora. Why do they want to discuss something about us without us? We say no to that. Those are some of the things that we are going to raise in this meeting. Please get ready with your questions, and we will be crossing over. Mr. Nube, maybe you want to say a few things again before we cross over.
Yes, now I don't have much at the moment, Chief Joseph, but obviously to stress the point that we will do everything that is within our power. We will do everything with all the energy that we have to resist the mutilation of our constitution. We will do everything. We will go everywhere where we can, all the corners of our country, to motivate the youth, to motivate everyone in Zimbabwe to try and resist the bastardization of our constitution by ZANU PF, and we will not accept that.
Yes, indeed, we should not accept that. Everyone who is listening, please make sure that you speak to the people in Zimbabwe, your friends, your relatives, anambuya, anasekuru, anatete, kwese kwese, vataurirei kuti vanofanira kuti no kuma constitutional amendments ari kuda kuitwa. Saka ngatichiendai zvedu ku Methodist Church vabvuwi kuri kuitwa gakava rakakura zvikuru pana Dr. Mavaza na Advocate Masiye. Thank you so much. Stay with us. We'll be bringing you the program live, and we'll come back to conclude at the end of the program. It's a 2-hour long program, so get ready, get your drinks and your snacks, and enjoy the program.
Mhaka is the current bishop of the Eastern Diocese in the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Zimbabwe.
Mhaka is the current bishop of the Eastern Diocese
and a lecturer. Evangelical. Also, like many pastors, a student for the PhD degree. He is a development practitioner who is interested in peace building. He is a budding author interested in theological issues, developmental issues, and pastoral issues. Bishop, your church is waiting for you to give them advice in the issues which are affecting us today, not only in the church, but also in the nation, at home and in the diaspora. The third speaker is Miss Praise Mesomashava, who describes herself as an ordinary Zimbabwean worker working in the United States. She loves her country and family like many other families and ordinary people in Zimbabwe. She is troubled and concerned with the current economic, political, and social crisis in Zimbabwe. She is a prayer warrior. And as a prayer warrior, she believes that things can change and be better for all Zimbabweans. And yet, as a prayer warrior, she is an activist for social justice. She loves to share her views with all those who are willing to engage themselves in what is going on in our motherland. At heart, she is an educationist, and she wishes to unite. She wishes for unity of purpose for all peace-loving people, especially in Zimbabwe. She speaks from an ordinary Zimbabwean standpoint and invites ordinary Zimbabweans to unite and speak out. We are waiting for you, madam, to share with us your views about this bill which is going on in our motherland. We will have each of these speakers 10 minutes. The way I have chosen who will speak first and last is by alphabetical order of their surname. So the first one would be Reverend Wilfred Dimingu. Then we will have Bishop Mhaka. Last but not least, we'll have Praise Mesomashava. I will have Brother Bruce Machona to help me identify people when we are about to hear questions and make sure that every question is answered or is raised and heard. And especially those who write on the platform, I hope Brother Bruce would help me identify those as well. We will pray and ask our first speaker to introduce themselves and say what they have for us today. May we bow in prayer. Loving God, envelope your servants. Give them the courage to speak power, the truth. Allow them, oh God, to hear you speak and deliver that message to us so that we make a decision for what is going on at home and abroad. Bless us all now and forevermore. Amen. Now I turn on to Reverend Dimingu.
Thank you, Doc. Kwazisai, Mose, Muzita, Rababa, Nanakomana, Norway, Amen. It is really a pleasure. I do not go. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Right.
Thank you. It is really an honor and a privilege for me to be given this opportunity to speak to my brothers and sisters with regards to the issues that are before us as a nation and the role of the church and in the midst of all what is happening. I'll start by saying I'll briefly share on what we believe and what as Zimbabwe Council of Churches and Zimbabwe Heads of Christian Denominations and myself is the role of the church in the public space, or the role of the church in the society. There are three ways that the church responds to the issues that are happening, that will be happening in the society or in the public space. And one of them is for the church to be neutral, to hear no evil, to see no evil, and just observe things from the terraces. The second one is for the church to become partisan and align themselves with certain political ideologies and certain political parties. But number three is to be prophetic, to speak truth to power, and to hold those in government or in leadership accountable according to the word of God. So when we look at the genesis of the role of the church as the prophetic voice of the nation, we go back to the time when in the Old Testament, the introduction and the movement from theocracy, where God was the only leader and where people were looking up to God for everything, in the book of Samuel, where people went to God and said, we also want a king like other nations. And God allowed them to have a king, but God did not hand over the stewardship of his people entirely into the hands of the human leadership. God maintained the office of the prophet so that he can counterbalance the excesses of those who are in leadership. And as the Zimbabwe Council of Churches, we believe that is the role that we need to play in our country. And the point of departure for us is John 10 verse 10, where Jesus says, I came that you might have life and have it in abundance. And whatever issue that comes on the table or that comes out for debate in the nation, the first question that we ask is life affirming? Does it bring abundant life to the people? And if it doesn't, then we stand for the people, because we believe that the church is not neutral. The church does not have a choice to choose a side, or neither to be neutral, because God chose a side for us. And that side is the side of the vulnerable, the side of the oppressed. That's the side where God is, and that's the side where the church should be, and the side that the church is, according to Luke chapter 4, verse 18 to 22, where Jesus was quoting the prophet Isaiah, where he was saying, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has anointed me to preach the good news to the poor." So those are some of the verses that really anchor our interventions. Now, coming back to what is happening in our country now, the Zimbabwean Constitution Amendment, proposed amendment bill number 3 of 2026. On the 18th of February, the Zimbabwe Council of Churches issued a statement reiterating what they had said in 2024, when this issue of extending the term of the president was announced after the ZANU conference in Bulawayo. The Zimbabwe Council of Churches was clear that we will not support a process that seeks to undermine democracy in the country, amending the constitution for the purposes of consolidating power by the establishment. And we said one of the marks of democracy is to make sure that we respect the constitution and elections are done regularly as enshrined in the constitution of the nation. And after that, the president came out, the president of the Zimbabwe, of the Republic, came out saying, "I'm a constitutionalist. I am not going." And as Zimbabwe heads of Christian denominations, we issued another statement in 2025 in January. And we actually congratulated him for saying that, because we said this is indeed what a leader should do. And we encourage you to stick to what you are saying, so that you hand over power in 2028 according to the Constitution. And when they came back this year, pushing this amendment, the Zimbabwe heads of Christian denominations issued a statement as well. And 2 days ago, the Catholic Bishops' Conference, which is part of the Zimbabwe heads of Christian denominations, issued a statement again. Why are we saying we are not supporting this amendment? We believe that, number one, the voice of the people must remain supreme. Shifting power from the electorate to a few and extending terms without fresh mandate from the people, and through bypassing constitutional safeguards like referendums, dismisses the sacredness of the Constitution. It undermines the democracy of the people, because we believe that the 2013 Constitution, although there were negotiations, because it was during the government of national unity period, but there was wider consultation which led to a referendum where almost 96 or 97% of the people of Zimbabwe said we are in agreement. And this is our document. And prior to that, the Zimbabwe Council of Churches started the conversation of coming up with a new constitution before the 2013 constitution was written. And those conversations at Zimbabwe Council of Churches led to the creation of the NCA, which is now led Professor Maduku. It was that conversation was started by the Zimbabwe Council of Churches, and the then Minister of Legal Affairs, Dr. Shobgo, laughed and said, "Some people think that they can sit under a tree and dream about writing a constitution." But the church had already seen that there's a need to write a people-driven constitution. And what then things happened, and NCA became political, and the church said, "No, we don't want to be part of a political process." And the church opted out of the NCA when it became militant and pushed the agenda of becoming a political party. But we believe that the conversation around having a new constitution began within the church. And even now we feel that the 2013 constitution, which we believe that represents what people want, must be protected. And amending it collectively, all the amendments, when we look at them, move power away from the people and consolidate it within the executive. It's actually consolidating the power and putting it in the hands of the elite, where everyone else, the people who matter, are no longer going to be consulted, where even the amendment to, besides the amendment to extend the term of the president, the amendment to the proposal to have the parliament elect the president and not the electorate as we used to do. All these things we are seeing that they are shifting from what the 2013 constitution says. When you look at the preamble of the 2013 constitution, it starts by saying, "We, the people of Zimbabwe," because that's a constitution which was written by the people. So our argument, we are saying, no matter moral argument, no matter the legal argument that people may bring, for us, besides the legal side of it, we are coming from a perspective of the moral argument. The amendment of this constitution is immoral in the manner that it wants to be amended, because everyone knows how it started. It started at a ZANU conference where they said, "We want our president to continue up to 2030, this 2030 mantra." So ZANU-PF is not the whole country. And laws cannot be changed because they've been agreed at a party conference. And we all know that even in 2023, the current president won by around 52% of the people who voted, and 48% did not vote for him. And that's not a small thing. And we can't just wake up today and say the whole country all of a sudden is saying continue. And after all, constitutional terms are meant, no matter how good he is, constitutional terms are meant for people who knows what they are doing. If he was not, if he didn't know what he was doing, he could have been removed long back. But because he did, the people believed that he knew what he was doing, and he's done with his 5 years. He must move out, and other people come in. And we believe that.
Rev, we have 1 more minute.
Thank you. We believe that in a normal democracy, leadership is renewed by the people and not by prolonging and not prolonging their leadership using the law. That's not democracy. So these are some of the issues that we are raising, and as a church we are saying, from a moral perspective, this is not right. It is not good for the nation. It will even divide people more. Actually, we are already divided, and they are pushing in a narrative that we try to bring unity unity, we try to do away with the toxicity that is caused by elections, but already the country is divided. Even within ZANU-PF itself, we see, and everyone is on the edge. No one knows what the future holds for them, and people are disturbed. So as a church, we stand with the people. I think I'll stop here and hand over to you.
Thank you, Secretary General. Let's give this time to Bishop Mhaka.
Thank you so much, our moderator. And let me also thank the General Secretary for articulating the position of the church, which we follow as part of the ZCC Secretariat and also a Supervisor Council. One thing that I may not repeat is actually that the church is not against a reform per se. There is no country that can operate without some reforms, but we are saying in the proposed reforms, does that reform strengthen justice? Does it strengthen accountability? Does it also protect the vulnerable? GS has already mentioned that the church is on the side of those who are weak or vulnerable. And if the church is on the side of the vulnerable, when we do these amendments, are we helping the vulnerable to maintain their dignity? So our topic today is the Constitutional Amendment Bill and the impact or the implication that has on the general populace. And let me just reiterate a few things without belaboring to say a lot. The first thing that I might want to say is that the church says, firstly, it's not a political party. Even if one person among the ZCC members would say, now I have taken a political stance to become partisan, we dismember ourselves, we desist from following that position. Because as long as we want to wield power over other people without justice, then we lose our position. So the church says, in the first place, we are not a political party, but we are a moral voice that is guided by scripture. Like Mhaka has already indicated, where we talk of justice, peace, humility, and protection of people's voice, that's where the church is now standing. So the Constitution, our Constitution Amendment Bill, which is proposed, looks like it's distancing itself from the ordinary person. So when the Constitution is distancing itself, it loses the legitimacy of the people through what is called popular sovereignty. If it loses that popular sovereignty, it no longer helps the ordinary person to become dignified before God. So that is the first concern that we have. Secondly, does this constitutional bill pass the general basic requirements of democracy? Then if it doesn't, why do we want to push it to become a bill that serves the people when it is not actually passing just the barest minimum requirement. So the key question that we have now, like the GS has already mentioned, is what is being amended. When we look back into the 2013 Constitution, what are we amending? But how do we also do it and why? If we manage to answer those questions, what do we want to amend? How do we do it? Which means the process is important. And like the GSS already mentioned, we cannot be neutral. We cannot also be partisan, but we need to be prophetic. Prophetic does not mean we want to downgrade. We want to also to look down upon those who are doing reforms for the better of the people. We want reforms, but we want them to be done in the process that people understand and will be maintaining their dignity. So to me, I don't want actually to be led by the whole story that our GS has already mentioned, but let me say our constitution should be stable. Our constitution should be predictable, and it should also be protective of the citizen, so that it is not easily reshaped by those who are in power. Because those who are in power might end up becoming too heavy for the ordinary person. So to me, the question for today is, does the bill pass the test of good governance? Good governance is participation, is transparency, is accountability, the rule of law, and many other things that we can talk about. Does the bill pass that test? If it doesn't pass that test, the church might not be rallying behind those who propose it, but not against anyone for partisan participation. But we are saying, how would we leave the ordinary person who is the pupil of the eye of God? If we leave that out, we have left the mandate that we have as a church. Let me end there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Thank you. We now go to our third panelist, Yanguwa yenyu. Mrs. Mesomashava.
You are muted, kana muri kutaura.
Huh?
Havana kuita mute.
Oh, okay.
Can you unmute?
Hello, Makadi Mose.
Thank you, Takasimba. Welcome.
Tinotenda nokugamuchirwa. Sorry, utekwa hose nevose vari pano. Ini ndinotenda nguva yandapuwa, asi ndinofunga kuti ishoma. Saka chokutanga ndanga ndichikumbira varidzi vechirongwa kuti munotendera here kundiwedzera nguva kuti ndiwane nguva yakadarika mapanelists ose mamwe.
Tange taisa nguva yedu kuti umwe anotaura 10 minutes dai tikamboguma ipapo toona pamberi apo kuti pane imwe nguva yemibvunzo and so forth and so ingaite zvakanaka. Asi nguva inei ngatindostika pa 10 minutes dzedu.
Ndinotenda hangu nemhinduro yamandipa uye ndinogamuchira. Ini sepovo se-an-ordinary citizen yeZimbabwe ndo exactly zvatiri kutaura mhinduro yapuwa nababa Mukwindidza. Tiri kungotarisawo zvedu Zimbabwe, totarisa kwayakabva kubva kuna 1980 kusvika nhasi. Toona kuti shuwa vanhu vanongoti agore atemu kana nguva yakwana voti tinoda imwe nguva, kana nguva yakwana tinoda imwe nguva. Isu maZimbabweni takangotarira hedu tichingonzwaro tisati tasvika kune zvimwe zvatinozoita zvinorwadzazve. Handiti maona pano ndakumbira nguva pazvirongwa zvedu zvidiki zvakadai, hatitotenderi kupa umwe munhu nguva yakareba kudarika yaanokodzera. Asi kana kuri kumatongerwo enyika tiri kutendera kuti vanhu vapuwe nguva, vazvimanikidze kupanana nguva vachishandisa force, vachishandisa kuvhayoreta mutemo, bumbiro remutemo. Ini ndo zvinondirwadza wangu. Asi even at household level, even at the smallest level yeconvention seyatinayo nhasi, hatitenderi. Izvi ndazvitaura kuti maZimbabweans dzimwe nguva tinovarairwa tichibva taita sevanhu vasina kunyatsa kupuwa pfungwa dzakakwana kana kuti vasinganyatsogona kuziva zviri kuitika nekuda kwekuti ticharamba tichimbunyikidzwa. Ini ndo zvinondirwadza attitude yedu yemaZimbabwe. Osaka nhasi taurawo ndakamira sepovo. Sei ndiri kuti ini zvangu ndichimiririra common person inonzi chii iyo agenda 2030 yakashata. Tiri kuti agenda 2030 ikapasa zvokwadi, right now hurumende iri kutonga iyi yava ne46 years ichitonga. Tikasvika 2030 inenge yava ne50 years ichitonga. Hazvina kushata kana vachigona sezviri kuita communist party yekuchina, handiti? Asi patiri kupokana ndepekuti one, bumbiro haritende, handiti kumanikidzira, vanhu vari kumanikidzwa. Ruzhinji rweZimbabwe hatisi kuwirirana nazvo. Tiri kurambirei? Tiri kurambira kuti munhu kana achipinda basa unenge ane job description yake, kuti iwe uri kupinda basa uchaita izvi nezvizvi nezvizvi. Ndo zvatinotarisa kuti wagona basa here, tokuwedzera nguva, tokupromota, kana kuti tokumisa, tokudzinga basa. Handiti? ZANU PF kubva payakapinda tikatarisa job description yayo sehurumende, nganditi hurumende alright. Dambudziko nderekuti kubva kudhara kwaingotonga iyo yeZANU PF. Saka kubva payakapinda tikatarisa CV yayo against job description yayo, tichitarisa zvavakaita, tinoona kuti hazvikodzeri kuti tirambe tichingoti vanhu vatimbunyikidze kuti votoita zvavanoda, because izvozvo zvokungombunyikidzwa vanhu vachimbunyikidzwa vanhu ndo zvavaingoita kubva kare. Asi zvavanofanirwa kuita havasi kuita. Zvinyi zvavanofanirwa kuita? Basa rehurumende nderei kana tavaisa pachigaro? Basa rehurumende tichataura zvinobata zvakawanda, asi ndoda kunyanya kunangana nezvinoafekta vanhu, zvinoita kuti the daily lives of people zviendeke. Basa rehurumende nderekukolekta matax, handiti? Munhu wose muZimbabwe wose anobhadhara tax. Kana uchinotenga chingwa, kana uchinotenga airtime, kana uchitumira mari paEcocash, kana uchitumira zvose zvaungaita pazuva, kana uchitengesa uchibhadhara mutero, kana uchifamba nemota uchibhadhara mutero, kana uchibhadhara juti. Saka kana tichigadza hurumende tiri kurevei? Tiri kureva kuti hatigoni kuti mumwe nemumwe amaneje mari onzi iwe chiisa mari yako inoda kuti chikoro chivakwa apa wovakawo chikona chako, iwe chiisawo mari inoda kuti rodhi ivakwe kuvhileji kwenyu wovakawo chitenga chako. munhu nemunhu achidaro. Tiri kusarudza vanhu vanotimanejera mari iyoyo, votimanejera kuti mari yatiri kutengesa zviwanikwa zvedu zvemuzimbabwe yatinotengesera kushamwari dzedu nekune dzimwe nyika surplus, ndo vatiri kuti hurumende. Ndosaka pasi pehurumende pana kansela watinogara naye anenge achitakura zvichemo kuti muvhileji yekwamapanda hamuna chibhorani, kumatai hakuna nzira, kumabee hakuna road. Zvese izvozvo vozvitakura voenda nazvo kuhurumende kuti mari iya yatalapa idzoke ichitigadzirira zvinhu izvozvo. Asi kubva pakapinda hurumende yedu yeZANU-PF havasi kukwanisa kuita izvozvo. Instead, zvinhu zvavakatowana zviripo zvakasiyiwa naSmith Road nechinyi vakakonewa even kuzvimaintaina zvako kuti zvinge zviripo. Hatisati tatombotanga kuti tidonongodze one by one because in 10 minutes hakwana. Muchazondibvunza kumberi uko kumibvunzo kuti ndikupatsanurirei. Vakakonewa kumaintaina zvinhu zvanga zviripo. Muenzaniso kuZimbabwe hakuna magetsi 24 hours. Why? Asi kudhara mataundi ese aiva nemagetsi, Karimba Dam ichishanda, mathermal power stations ese avakainherita achishanda. They have failed kuwedzera zvavo kuti magetsi avepo nekumaintaina zviripo. They can't figure out kuti todini nemari yedu yatiri kuvapa. Handiti munhu wose muZimbabwe wose chero ari kutenga kumukumbura, chero ari kutenga chinyi, hapana munhu anofanira kundiudza kuti kwanzi chingwa nesipo zvakasubsidizwa because ndosaka sina tax. Subsidy iyoyo initially yakabva pamari yedu yetax yatanga tavapa nokuti hurumende haina mari. Hurumende inoshandisa mari yedu yacho yavanokolekta every month kumatax nekuzvitengeswa zvatinotengesa zvinova zvava kutengeswa zviiswa muhomwe dzevanhu. Saka zvino tingati here tochipa ZANU-PF by passing the bill 2030 handiti tiri kupa ZANU-PF, hurumende yeZANU-PF an automatic extension. Asi kana tatarisa zvakaitwa neZANU-PF for the past 46 years, tingati here vanodeserva an automatic extension ava let alone a promotion. Zvinokodzera here. And worse still, kupa vanhu an automatic extension vachimbunyikidza vanhu vasiri kutevedzera gwara rezvinofanirwa kufambiswa nazvo nokuti ndo legacy yeZANU-PF, ndo resume yeZANU-PF kubvira pekutanga. Kwakaita guku rahundi vachirova vanhu kuti vanhu havafanirwi kutaura zvichemo zvavo. Ini pano pandiri kutotaura pano ndakatombovata mugomo nekuda kweguku rahundi. Handiti kukaita guku rahundi tikaramba kuchirogwa vanhu mumaelections ese panosvika kunenge kuchirogwa vanhu vanhu vachitwa malong sleeved mashort sleeved ndo legacy dzeZANU-PF violence. Handiti nanhasi they're still perpetrating violence against its own citizens. Brain drain yatinayo yekuti isu tiri kutotaura tiri kuno yakakonzerwa neZANU-PF haina kunakira nyika. Tichizotarisa vazukuru nevazukuru vedu vachasara nei kuZimbabwe because zvese zviwanikwa zvese mari vana mutonenyuve vari kutozi come up with other things zvinoita kuti tirambe tichitorera vanhu mari iya haisi kudzoserwa kwainofanirwa kunovaka marodzi, zvikoro. Tikakuratidzai mavhidhiyo ekuti chero kunobva zita renyika chaiko right now as we are speaking vanotanga pano pavanokwira $2 panoita less than 30 minutes kusvika mumasvingo, hapasi kusvikika mumasvingo pamurinyoku. Vanobva vatanga vadzika kuenda kujerera vozonobata tara vodzoka kuti vauye mumasvingo vokwira $10. neZANU-PF iyo ndo 2030 yavari kuramba vachida kugadzira pachigaro. Chii chimwe chavari kuda kuramba vachiita and vachiita against the will of the people because vari kutorovera vanhu 2030 kaiyoyi vanhu vari kuita zvokurohwa. Chavari kuda kuramba vachiita chavakatadza kuita in the past 37 years chii 46 years I mean chii. Handiti tiri kutarisa kuti chikoro chaito education yava privatized kuZimbabwe. Sanoda kuti mwana wako anotoenda kuprivate school. Vakazviitirei? Kuitira kuti vanhu ngavacharegedza kuwana quality education vagokwanisa kunge vachivatonga. Mayouth vana vedu vacheivavo vari kutengeserwa madrugs neZANU-PF haisi kucontrola, haisi kana kuita anything. Police, army, defense ministry iripo haisi kudefenda vanhu kuti vasasvikirwa neizvozvo. Instead vanotobetsera ZANU-PF kuti asiri wedynamos wese tinorova kusvika ava wedynamos. Handiti saka inini zvangu semunhu ndiri kuti ndikatarisa maroads, ndikatarisa the health system, ndinoramba ndichingoona zvinhu zvakasiyiwa naSmith asi zvakaparadzwa. Saka chokwadi tiri kuti here shuwa maZimbabweans ndozvatinodhizeva isusu semaZimbabweans kuti hatitenderwiwo kuita zvinhu zvakanaka asi tine njere, tine maresources, tine everything. Toramba toti education yakafa, health yakafa, defense yakatofa because haisi kushanda. Handiti mapurisa nemasoja hazvishande, corruption iriti, language, culture chaiyo. Tiri kuzviona kune dzimwe nyika kuti kana uriwo wakabata chinhu, handiti munhu afanirwa kuuya achiti taura nechirungu. Vakakondewa a simplest thing yokuti no, kana vanhu vachida gold redu, vachida lithium yedu, vachiuya kumusha kwedu ngavadzidze mutauro wedu, hauna kushoreka. Vakakonewa that simple thing, even to uphold the moral fabric yenyika. Mukatarisa zviri kuitika kunyika right now zvaakuitwa nevana vedu, munotoona kutoti motonzwa kutoti iyo ZANU-PF kunotonzi kune gurupu rinonzi mahure for it.
1 minute.
Zvinotaurika here izvozvo pano?
Ndo
Zimbabwe yatiri kutaura.
1 minute.
Sorry, ndanga ndisina kunzwa. Totonzwa kuti kune inonzi 1 minute for it, inonzi mahure for it. Saka ini ndiri kungoti tikatarisa resume yeZANU-PF kunyange vachitimbunyikiza zvavo kubva 1980 haikodzere kuti vatotimbunyikiza ne2030 because munhu anopiwa automatic extension munhu ari kugona basa. Ava havasi kugona ava kana takatarisa the state of Zimbabwe zvese, morally, physically, economically, in all aspects. We do not have a Zimbabwe to talk about right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Tanzwa mapanelist edu echitaura toapa nguva shoma yekuti wabvunzane kuti paine panoda kuitwa clarified tisati tazopa nguva kune vazhinji vari mukati umo vanodawo kuzobvunza. Pevanonga vari kubvunzana mapanelist, tibatsirei kuti tizopindurawo zvakare mubvunzo wekuti how do we get this information kune vanhu, kuti hurumende ichiti tine 3 months dzekudzidzisa vanhu kuti wazodini. What is it that the general populace needs to do in order kuti pfungwa dzavo dzizozika. Ngatiende kune mapanelist edu kuti paine vanoda kubvunzana kana vanoda kuclarify some of the things zvavataura. Zvakanaka. Oh, yes. Yes,
Mazita Mutungamiriri. I just wanted to reaffirm, not to ask a question, what my bishop said, Bishop Mhaka, that it should be clear that as far as amendment number 3 is concerned, as a church, we agree that constitutions can be amended, but they cannot be amended without following the constitutional safeguards. If a huge thing like this is going to be amended from the constitution, we are saying it should go back to the people through a referendum, not to be to have the future of the wars 17 million people being determined by the mind of a few people who are already benefiting, and the parliamentarians who want to elongate their terms of office, what determine without coming back to get the fresh mandate of the people. So we are saying whatever amendment that might happen, it should come from the people, not from those in leadership. I just wanted to add that after my bishop mentioned that as well.
Thank you. Muri kuti here process inofunga vanhu vari kunetseka nekuti zviri kuitwa zvinezvi parliament iri kufambira yechitaurira vanhu kuti ndozvetiri kudai. What can people do wasi kuda izvozvo kuti zvinozoitwa papi? Where are we going to get the verdict yekuti vanhu vari kude zvakati? What is the purpose here? Parliament going out there to talk to people. Wanozopindura papi? What are we supposed to do?
I think what is happening now is for us is moral law, like I said, because it's not giving people enough time to give their thinking and their mind. The only way for people to say what they think and what they want is through a referendum. This process is flawed already in Harare. The whole of Harare, there is only one place, the City Sports Center, where these public consultations are going to be done. And I can't expect a young man, I will not even say an old woman, a young man who can articulate issues from Highfield. Asiri kushanda kuti achaona mari transport yekuenda ku City Sports Center kuti anotaura what he did. No, havasi kuzozvikwanisa izvozvo. The whole of Harare in a one center, City Sports Center. And with the population of Harare, City Sports Center can't even accommodate vanhu vepahifield chete. And the other venue is airport, the other venue is Chitungisa, only one. The whole of Bulawa has got two. So you can see that there's no consultation that is happening here. It's just rubber stamping. And they can even alter what people have said and say people have agreed. We have got precedents of these things where people have to go to court with pakaitwa the consultations but court we accepted that, but I think the process was according to what is laid down. So you realize that there's nothing much that people can do, because already the outcome of this process is predetermined. But what we see as a window of opportunity is for people to write to the clerk of parliament making submission. As of now, just like what retired Air Marshal Muchena did, just like what the former Minister of Parliament and Legal Affairs did. He sent his. As a church, we are going to send ours as well next week to the clerk of parliament, so that at least if they've got conscience, they will see that we've got documents that were written by people, and this is what they are saying. And that avenue of sending submission to the clerk is open for everyone. And that is one of the things that people can do to give their thoughts, to send directly to the clerk of parliament. Thank you. I think I'm not sure if I answered your question.
Yeah, muri kupindura ndichade kuenda pamberi asi toda kumbozwa vamwe panelists pane ane umweni clarification mubvunzo tiendese ku the public. Okay, ngatiende say to the public. Amachona tibatsire kuti pane wakasimudzapo wakapfumbuti,
hoping that kuzvandichataura pano kuda hazvichadzo.
sorry. Ndiana anga ari kutaura.
Ndi Bishop Mhaka, I think our network yawe iri kunetsa.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, Papa inenge
Bishop, are you available to talk?
Yeah, it's kuita mushi.
Bishop Mhaka. Ngatiende kuna wakapfumbuti.
Na Pastor Reverend Kapfumbuti.
Mazvita Rev Dr. Mukwindidza amenonduruzika here
Urunzika chaizvo.
ndatenda vamachona ndichida kutenda zvikuru kune mapanelists edu ese ndisingapedzi nguva ndichitaura nemazita avo ese. Ndoda kutenda zvikuru. Ndiri kudaira kuti tifambei nokuda kwezvataunzirwa kurutivi rwechechi. Ndichitenda kuti kurutivi rwatanzi ndakamirira ruzhinji. Miss Praise Mesomashava vatsanangurawo kavamire vakamiririra ruzhinji. Inini ndingada kuti ndizive kubva kurutivi rwechechi. Ndanzwisisa chaizvo kuti chechi inobatikange vanotambudzika, inobatika varombo. Nyaya yetakatarisana nayo yakati kure zvikuru kwazvo. Mubvunzo wendinawo ngewekuti izvozvizvi kuchine kuteedzwa kwemutemo here? Nekuti kuti vanhu vauye vachiti hatichaendiba kureferendum panyaya iyi, maakubvunza kuti zvikuru ngokuti ndiri kudiaspora, dai ndandiri kuZimbabwe ndaikwanisa kusaibvunza mubvunzo unowu. Mutemo uchikuteedzwa here? Ngatimboenda kuchechi chaiko. Vanhu vari kubatika here ngekuteedza zvinotarisirwa munyika jekerere? Ngatimbotora kuti munhu ari kuchaira motikari mumugwagwa, vanhu vari kuteedza here mutemo? Nekuti mukaona mutemo wakuvhurwa pamusoro-soro, palevel iri pamusoro-soro, ko pasi apa vanhu vari kuchengeta here mutemo? Ndazwa vatauri vedu vari kuti hazi isu tiri kuzonyorawo tichiendesa kune munyori weparliament. Now, matare ari kumboitenyi panyaya tiri kutaura nezvairi? Ndingada kuti ndipindurwewo hangu zoti vauya vairi ngevechechi. Mubvunzo wangu wokutanga ndiwo kuti vanhu vati kuteedza here mutemo? Hurumende iri kuteedza here mutemo? Ndiwo wokutanga. Wekuchipiri, ndiri kuda kuziyawo nekuti zuro kwakuine yambotaurwa kuzi prophetic voice. Nhasi uno uyu ndiani prophetic voice? Vamwe vedu tikadzoka mumashure munguva yestruggle takawakomborerwa nevetaikonise kuona vaikuda vaine chipo chakapuwa ndiMwari. Vakadai ndiwana Bishop Lamont, wana Bishop Dodge, wana Bishop Muzorewa. Nhasi uno uyu kuchechi jekerere, isingati denomination jekerere, ndiani the voice? Who is the prophetic voice? Machita.
Ndiani umweni zakara pa wamasawi.
Hapana, gatinde neorder yacho watanga.
Oh, okay.
Watera after mufundisi ndi chief source.
apedza ukoyani.
Vamasawi kozouya praise.
Okay, that's all right. That's in that order.
Mobva mabvisa vanenge vabvunza vanotapedza.
Thank you, moderators. I want to thank the church once again for organizing this. This is very relevant. This is very important, and it's very comforting to see the church getting involved in matters that affect ordinary Zimbabweans. I'm actually very impressed with what I heard from the bishop and also from the SG, that they are standing with the people, that the church is standing with the people, that if the bill is not resonating with the people, is not standing the test of what the people want, then the church should not support it. So it's very, very encouraging, and I hope all churches will join in and make sure that they stand with the people of Zimbabwe. It is unfortunate that I'm not seeing, I didn't get a chance to hear. I know maybe I might have joined late because we're connecting some things outside. Dr. Mavaza from ZANU and also Advocate Masiye, because I would have wanted to ask him this question, which is something that everyone in the diaspora should be asking, because we had the Minister of Justice. I don't know if the SG will be able to find a way of communicating this to the Parliament of Zimbabwe. I'll also, talk about what we have already done. We had Justice Minister Ziyambi talking about the involvement of the diaspora, or that this bill will also lead to the diaspora vote. And then after that, we saw the list of consultative meetings that have been published that are already in process right now. There is nothing that has been mentioned about the diaspora. There are 5 million Zimbabweans that are in the diaspora. So the government of Zimbabwe and the Parliament of Zimbabwe are choosing to ignore all these people, to ignore the views of 5 million people. Why are they trying to discuss something that involves Zimbabweans in the diaspora without the involvement of the people in the diaspora? Surely, if they don't have resources to come here and do it physically, we are in the world of technology. They should be, organizing something online, and we can organize it ourselves. We can even finance the people to the team or a team to come here to the diaspora and also consult us, because we are Zimbabweans, we are stakeholders that are contributing over $2.5 billion to Zimbabwe's fiscus and to its GDP. Why would they not want to hear what we think about that? To our end, we have already written to the Parliament, we have written to the Clerk of Parliament, asking why the diaspora was left out. And I want to ask the people that are here, that is Zimbabweans in the diaspora, please, let's find a way of communicating this message. We don't just want to write to the Parliament, like the SG was saying, I think it was the SG or the Bishop, that these things can be rigged. They will write letters, they will write our concerns, and they will never be considered. We also know that at the present moment, they are asking ZANU-PF youth to create multiple emails so that they can write to Parliament as well. At the end of the day, I can assure you, it is the emails of those ZANU-PF youth that will be published. So please, let's find a way of pushing this through, and the SG, you are in Zimbabwe, Please, I don't know if you can respond. Is there a way that you can help us so that what we are saying, our concern, our biggest concern, that we also want to be consulted, gets to the parliamentary committee? Thank you.
Machita. Wechitatu angachidotaura ndiani zviya vamachona
Masawi, Onias Masawi.
Masawi, okay.
Mazvita ndinotenda zvikuru kwazvo. Ndoda kutanga nekupa acknowledgement yebasa guru riri kuitwa neZimbabwe Council of Churches mwechete nevaronga this program ine kuti tikwanise kuva this consultative meeting yatiri kuita online. Regai nditi mwoyo wangu unodzimbikana, unorwadziwa kwazvo kana tikatarisa zvinhu zviri kuitika mukati menyika yekwedu. Ndokusaka ndati regai ndinyatsokurukura nditaure chero nerurimi rwamai, because it's no longer time for us to do cosmetics. Nekuti nyika yatinayo tinoiziva maitiro ayo nemararamiro ayo. Ndiri kutarisa inini Zimbabwe Council of Churches kuti basa rakanaka ravatanga kuita. Asi mubvunzo wangu woti hatina kunonoka here? Wanonokera vanhu ava nekuti we are dealing nevanhu vasiri honest. Zvinhu zvatinonzwisisa nekuziva kwazvo vajaira kungochinja zvinhu at will panguva dzavafunga. Saka pakatanga zvinhu izvi zvichitangira kupolitical party yavo vachimhanya, isu samachechi hatina kunyarara here kumirira kusvika zvinhu zvazosvika pazvinenge zvaipa, nekuti iko zvinezvi they have polished the levers of power ese avainawo ende vari kugadzirisa zvinhu zvose kuti zvifambe nenzira yavangada ivo. Chimwe chandinacho zvakare ndechekuti yes, I revere my Secretary General Rev Dimingu vataura kuti taakungonyora matsamba or maconcerns edu through the clerk of parliament, which I think is a very good avenue as well. You're not going to batsira, but these letters and all these writings are only appealing to the conscience of the ruling party. Now, appealing to the conscience of the ruling party, are we not appealing to the conscience of a hyena not to devour a calf? Nekuti haisi kuzoregera kuruma mhuru bere iri nekuti rine conscience. Handifunge kuti pane conscience iripo yavanogona kuti vazoaplya nayo, because doing this anotori neurongwa hwavakaita hwekuti vanofanira kuwana zvinhu zvinovharwa vharwa pakati papa pane utsotsi hwakawanda huchaitwa. So isusu as a church and all other members of the civic society, do we have any methods and any means of countering utsotsi hwatinoziva hwagara huri pachena kuti ndo huchaitiwa? Ndapedza hangu ndomubvunzo yandinayo bedziyo iri mazvita ei.
Mazvita, ngatimbozwa mhinduro pamibvunzo mitatu iyoyo tozouya imwe inotevera.
Would you allow me to answer those questions?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Thank you. Let me apologize for coming late. My name is Dr. Mavaza. Probably title mistake, but time differences here. Anyway, let me start SJ to respond. It is a problem in any national discourse, in any national debate. When we go into the debate, we are dealing with dishonest people. So before I answer your questions, I just want to remove your thoughts. You are dealing with dishonest people. The ZANU party deals like a hyena which has seen meat. We must appreciate that when we talk of politics, we are not in a church, neither are we at a pulpit. We are in a political table, in the political arena. Yes, we do need the church. We need your prayers. We need the reverence. We need your sober thinking where we get lost as politicians. Where power takes the better of us, we need the sober minds of the reverends, the priests, the pastors, the prophets, whatever they call themselves. We need Jesus in all this. So now, in responding to you, the churches are not late in coming in and say their word. We still have days out of the 8 days required. We still have days to come up. What do we have? What conviction do we have that we will be listened to? And what can be done in such a situation? I would agree with you, but yes, we would be listened to. And we should be prepared. Even if we are listened to, if we are lost or if we lose in our contributions to the argument, if we do not come to the exact or convince the masses of Zimbabwe that our point is right, it does not mean that we've been rigged or we've been forced to agree. We are going through a process where every person's word is heard. This is where I would say, and I would depart from my position for a minute. This is where I would say the importance of a referendum, Reverend, is to make sure every person is participated. And this time, a participation by your representative does not represent fully what you wish. So when it comes to the issue of the term of the president, the reason why the law put it clear that there has to be a referendum, and why it was clearly put that there have to be people's word, which will be final, is because we know that once you are in power, it's difficult to leave the power. There are people who are benefiting by the status quo, and changing it is like telling them to resign from their jobs and go to the field and start plowing when they've been used to get money in the pocket every morning. So it's going to be very difficult for any of us here to agree that there will be change without a referendum. And that is where the bone of contention is. And that is what we are hoping, that when the world consultative meetings are done and it goes back to Parliament, Parliament will have to stand upright and say, we still have to go to the referendum. Yeah, so referendum, it is actually an important, very constitutional, and it was put there, and it was given such power for a purpose, for a reason. The reason that people do not, in many cases, want to leave power, even if they know that they are no longer able to keep it. But however, I've missed a lot of other contributions. But whatever has been said, which needs to be answered, I'm here to respond. But in responding to those three questions, number one, we are not late. You are not late as a church. You can still talk to your constituencies. You can write your letters, and again, you can write a letter directly to the president, not to the Secretary of Parliament. The church is allowed to talk to the president. He is the president. Send your delegation, ask for audience with His Excellency the President, and tell him we need to talk to you. We need to say ABCD directly to you. Appeal to his conscience, not to go to him with the thought that you are appealing to a hyena. No, that thought must leave the thinking of the saints, the thinking of the church. You must be faithful in your thinking, and you must entrust that faith on others you are thinking for.
Thank you.
And I'm still willing to answer questions of what I've missed, if I can be told.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Reverend.
Thank you. I also want to thank the previous speaker. I think he has really articulated some of these things very well. And just to just buttress what he said, what the Reverend Masawi just highlighted, people might think that the church is late in responding to this issue after it was introduced at the ZANU conference. But you know that as a church, we need to appreciate that the church is not political. And also in 2024, when this discourse was still within ZANU-PF, like I said, that we congratulated the president when he said, I'm a constitutionalist, I'm going to leave office when my term of office comes to an end. And we said, congratulations for saying this as a leader. This is what the church also expects the president to do and to say. And we couldn't go deep into this issue because it was still a ZANU-PF issue. So the church could not get involved itself into party politics. But then when it came to Parliament, when the cabinet endorsed that memorandum, and then the issue was gazetted, that's when we say this is now a public issue, a national issue. Now we can come in, and we even wrote a statement on 27 February where we say, President, remember what you said, and if you don't follow what you say now, it will really injure the trust that we had and the trust that we have in you. Because when you say these things, we believe that this is what our president is saying. And therefore, we still believe that there was no other way. We could only start to speak and engage publicly around these things after the gazetting of this law. Because the president was consistent that I am a constitutionalist. So I would not even go to him and ask him the things that he's saying. I'm not for it. But even now, like what Dr. Mavaza said, we have written to him, because in our statement we say we are going to continue engaging with the president to really impress upon him and appeal to him that this is, for us, as far as we can see from where we stand, people are not happy with this. Can he find a way of making sure that the constitutional safeguards are followed? If he really thinks that this is what needs, these amendments necessary. And we are continuing with this engagement, because all these letters that we see we are writing, we do write the letters, but also we engage. We engage, and we are also in the process of engaging the Minister of Justice. We have heard his arguments in social media and many other platforms, but we believe that we also need to talk to him as the person who is responsible, and we're also going to meet with the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee and ensure that the voice that we represent is heard. And there was another question that was asked about kuti mitemo ichiri kuteedzerwa here pasi apa nekusoro. Zvinoitika munyika ndezvekuti mitemo irimo, but nyaya dzekutevedzera ndidzo dzisisimo muvanhu zvavanga vachitaura zviya kuti vanhu kudhiraivha kwavari kuita. It's an issue that we've always raised. Kuti as Zimbabweans, sevanhu vekuzimbabwe, there is now need for us kuti tive vanhu vanoteedzera mutemo, tisangoti tongoita zvese zvese nepese pese zvisingaburise hunhu hwedu sevanhu. Zvemutemo, like the previous speaker, politicians can do a lot of things. And even now, as we are debating this, there are a lot of debates around this constitutional amendment, where one can look at it and say the law is not being followed. But when the constitution is amended and all that, one of the things that I would say from where I stand is that what I'm realizing now is rule by the law, not the rule of law. Because the law is being amended so that people can be ruled by the law, and there's no rule of law. You can see in the parliamentary recalls that happened and all those things. So the question of following the law, I can say the law is there, the law enforcement are there, the law should be followed, but there are always people at times who do not follow the law. And the other question that was asked there, who is the voice, the prophetic voice? The prophetic voice for us is not an individual. No one can monopolize the prophetic voice. The prophetic voice is the church. The church should be the prophetic voice, not individuals. Because the moment we start to mention individuals, we don't want to go deep into some of the names, because we could also realize that some of the people were also politicians. So we don't want to taint the church. The prophetic voice should remain pure, should remain non-partisan, and should remain credible, so that it can be listened by both sides of the political divide. And I can certainly say that even now, we have got a lot of church voices that are around, that are sprouting up in the nation. But even the political leadership of our nation knows the prophetic voice. They know the church, where they go to when they want to hear the truth and to hear the voice that really stands for what is true and for what is good for this nation. So I think I can end that. And there's an issue that was asked also on the diaspora, what can be done? We also try to raise these issues. We also write and we also approach the clerk of parliament, because it was said, even the Minister of Justice, whether there are efforts, there are ways to to have the voice of the diaspora, like what he said. So we follow up on that and hold him accountable to say we here. Because when we approach them, they will ask us, who are you standing for? And we tell them that we've got Christians, we've got people, we've got Zimbabweans in the diaspora who are saying they haven't heard anything from you. And yet you promised that you extend this privilege to them for them to at least contribute to this national process. I think I can pause here and put this at the end of our tweet.
Thank you. Let's hear from Madam Mesomashava.
Thank you. Thank you, Maita Henyu. Ndoda kutanga kubvunza vaMavaza pavataura maita zvakanaka nhasi mataura zvakanaka zvandanzwawo vaMavaza, asi pamuri kuti imimi vanhu ngavarege kungoenda vachingofungirira kuti zvinhu hazvifambi zvakanaka izvo zvisati zvaitwa. Ndoda kukubatsirai kuti chikonzero chinoita kuti vanhu vasavimba hurumende neZANU-PF kuti process yese ikaitwa zvakanaka inyaya yamunonyanya kunzwisisa inini kudarika inini vaMavaza yekulo inonzi precedence. Zvakamboitika nezuro zvinozikanwa nemunhu wese kana nepovo zvinoitwa neZANU-PF nezvinoitwa nehurumende kana vachitonga ndo zviri kuita kuti vanhu vasava nechivimbo chokuti zvinhu zvichafamba zvakanaka. Maitiro futi avari kuita ekuti maintroducirwe ari kuitwa nyaya idzodzo kana iri nyaya yeconstitution inobata constitution kuti ikuda kuamendwa ngairege kutangira kupati nokuti ZANU-PF haisiyo Zimbabwe. Yaifanirwa kudai ZANU-PF yakaitwa smart enough yakafambisa gwara racho nemazvo kuti rinofanira kunotangirwa kwarinotangirwa kutaurwa nokuti zvinoite kuita nebumbiro remutemo kuitira kuti nenyaya dzavo because munhu kana uchishanda unofanira kutoziva mashandiro ako vanotoziva president yavakaseta kumashure uku inoita kuti tichatomborimba navo. Number 3 mataura zvakanaka futi imimi mukati process iri kufamba handiti kuchaitwa referendum and vanhu vari kuitwa maconsultation. Apa ndava kuda kukubvunza imukati vanhu vese vanotenderwa kubvunza even president. Saka vanhu muri kuvaroverei, muri kuvasungirei even mastudents kana muchiti kuri kuitwa consultation handiti ZANU-PF like ndoda kupamedza ndizvosori kutaura zita revanhu risina kuvapupira vana Mr. Garwe vanga vachiita maconsultations avava vafamba kwamutokoko vachiita handiti kana vamwe verimwewo bato vakaenda kunoita maconsultations avo muri kuvasungirei kana zvinhu zvenyu muri kuzvifambisa negwara. Then mastudents akamirawo achiita tiri kufanira kuti kana tiri kuita process yedu tichiwirirana nezvamataura zvakachena kudai zvinonzwika vaMavaza hatichafanirwi kuwanika munhu kana veburial society yavo vaungana vachiita musangano wavo nokuti maZimbabweans kana vakadhisaidha kuti paagenda yemusangano wedu watiri kuita weburial society yedu nhasi tiri kuda kutaura nezveamendment bill iri re2030 vatenderei nokuti maZimbabweans at the end of the day ndivo vachaafektwa nebill iri. Kana ani nani kana mastudents vachida kutaura nenyaya iyoyo siyai vataura. Saka vanhu vari kusungirwei, vari kurogerwei, chinyi chiri kuitika? Ndo zvandiri kubvunza ipapo. Then ndoda kupindura kwambotaurwa kumutemo kuya. KuZimbabwe hakuchina mutemo, ndo zviri kutishungurudza isu sepovo tizoona tichiuya kuzopotera kupedza shungu pamaplatforms anenge arongwa nevekereke kudai. Tiri kutoshaya kuti ndiani achatibatsira. Asi tinofanirwa kunzwisisa pane problem pamudzi wenyaya semaZimbabweans kuitira kuti nyaya igadzirike. Mutemo hakuna nenyaya yandataura iya yekuti zvakatangira pakuti watagadzika pachinzvimbo tichiti kana tisaita konde makolekta mitero yedu matex edu moti manejera muchialoketa zvakanaka kuti iyi ngaiende parodhi, iyi ngaiende padhamu, iyi ngaiende kuzvipatara, iyi ngaiende kumagetsi. Vakatanga kuba mari idzodzo vachinyarara vaya vari pasi vachiona handiti asi vaishandisa simba rekuti ukangotaura ndakubudisira ziso unondiona kusvikira zvakaskeda down zvekusvika pakuti even mapurisa arungoti neizvo zviri kuitwa nemashefa tikuchengeta kumusoro ava vanhu regai vaite kana ndatoitawo ndotoitawo zviri kuitwa nashefu ndakutotorawo yemunhare apa ndicho chikonzero kuzimbabwe kusina mutemo nekuti nanhasi muri kuzviona kuti vamwe vari kutorobwerwa kuti uri kutaurirei nyaya against 2030 asi tiri mazimbabwe tose saka achazoisa mutemo ndiani naiva Mavaza kana imimi macho muripo musiri kuzviona izvi tatenda hangu
mazita ndiani wateerera manji machona nditaurirei watatu wateerera tikwanise kuvabata
tinoda kuti tikwanise kupanana nokuti vanhu vari kupfapa vakawanda saka tikapanana nguva iri kutoti by at least 3 minutes munhu wodi woita repapo kuitira kuti tese tikwanise kudi because pane mibvunzo yakawanda Mavaza inofanga uzopindura saka but at the same time kuti vari kutaura vachoka ngatipitewo nguva yekuti tigagaga kuitira kuti mumwe nomwe akwanise kuwana time yekutaura saka pane 3 vari kuteera titendai koya Rev Professor Mutamba koya Masiye kuzokuti achiri pera but anyway ndo saka toti kuenda
nekutanga ndiani
tendai then koya Professor Mutamba
tendai wamutamba then wamasiye
Kenneth Masiye
ngatiende neoda iyoyo.
Hello, I'm sorry, wakuru wesangano letora kutumamirira.
Hello.
Ndokubara zikuruneza mungu kitaurira. Asi nini mwanzo wangu uri kubatana neukuwana wamkwendidza kuti what is it that we are supposed to do kuti zvese zvamuutaura about the constitution kuchinja kwayo, where do we get the answers from? Who is going to give those answers? Mubvunzo usiri kupindurwa kune zvese zvatiri kutaura. Where does it involve citizens in Zimbabwe, whether here in diaspora or whether in Zimbabwe, whatever. What does people want to tell us? Okay, this is what we've done without having either ballot or the referendum that we're talking about. And I think to be very transparent, there's a need. There would be population people when we would tell us all. That's what they are doing, and they are not going to give us a better chance of even being as free as we were before. Zimbabwe is a peaceful country. It's talking from a theater, not from seeing what happened. Just the day after Titan meeting, for what reason? Because he was advising other people. Zvinhu zvatisingakwanisi kutagashira nekuvumirana kuti titi tiri munyika inoda vanhu vayo. I think tipindurewo mubvunzo iri tione kuenda mberi. Thank you very much for listening.
Mazita wamutamba.
Zita chekutanga regai nditende forum iyi yekuuya kuzotaura zvinhu zvakadai, asi regerai nditi preface maremarks angu from evidence research. Ini ndiri professor, I do things on research. Kwete vataura zvakanaka chaizvo Mavaza kuti ndiri kunzwika here.
Muri kunzwika Mutamba?
Ya, munanditaurirawo kuti ndizive
kuti
vataura zvakanaka chaizvo Mavaza nhasi kuti hatidi kuti timbodaidzana mazita kuti vahaina mapera ari kudya vanhu and so forth, which is very good. Tikanangisa from research tinobvunza mubvunzo wakabvunzwa kuna Psalms 8 wokuti What is it with this little country called Zimbabwe? It's 136 years. We have never known constitutional stability. We have never known what independence is like. Tikutangira hedu pakati kuti 1980 takazoita independence. All that is not full independence. Zvakatanga is 1890. Since 1890, Zimbabwe has never known chinonzi independence. And Rutaura is a fighter. Akarwira nyika iwe yeZimbabwe. You see, we look at the events that are going on. Ndiri kufunga kazhinji Mavaza mataura zvakanaka chaizvo kutoda kuva nesober mind panyaya idzi. And ndiri kusimbisa zvakare kuti we don't want any propaganda yekutaura nezvekuti tazoita zvakadai. Vanhu vanoona vega kuti zviri kuitwa munyika ndezvipi. Number one, ndinofunga inini influence yese tingataure zvakawanda panapa zvakawandisisa. Influence yese iri kubva kune the new emerging economic. I'm talking like an economist. The new world order iri kuita emerge now iri kutitaurira kuti everything hinges on money, nothing else. Mukaona even leadership yemuAfrica yacho zvairi kuita, there is no morality, there are no political principles, constitutions are being abused left and center. Saka inini ndiri kuti varume nevakadzi tiri panapa, we can waste time tichiita maZimbabweans anozivikanwa nekudhibheta kutaura chirungu cheOxford. This is not kutaura chirungu cheOxford nekuti ndakadzidza kupinda heavy this and that. Tiri kuda kuti tinangise tese sevanhu vachasiya legacy muZimbabwe yevana nevazukuru vedu. Izvi zvokutaura kuti hamusi kutiona tichiita zvakati, avawo vamwe votaura kuti no, pati yangu chaiyo ndo zvakati, and trying to defeat truth by other means other than talking zvatiri kuita. And totenda vakapfumbuti president wedu pachiara chinechi kuti tidiscusse zvinhu zvakadai. Ene ndinonzwa hangu vanhu vachiti no, the church is what church inofanira kuitwa involved. Church should not be involved. Ndo basa rechurch irori. The church is the conscience of society. Vamavaza mataura zvakanaka chaizvo, handizvekuti munopinda chechi yenyu kupi, zvakanaka chaizvo zvamataura. Muchiti Jesu, you said something about Jesus being the center of all this. Paakabvunzwa, and it's ironical kuti tiri muland. Paakabvunzwa unzi, are you king of the Jews? His answer should give us a clue kuti who should be involved when things go wrong. It is the church. Now, our church in Zimbabwe, you will all agree from the evidence that is there on the field, is captured. Akusisina prophetic ministry, akusisina zvakadai nekuti church ingave conscience of the people. Ini ndiri kuti mubvunzo waunzwa handizwe kana vari Reverend Kapumbuti here, vataura kuti from now on, where do we go? Uchizotsigirwa natendai ndifunga muninda wangu unyamgapo. Tiri kungo waste time tichitaura. We are known for debates like this to show each other's knowledge and whatever. We should now be sitting down kuti chiri kukonzera kuti kanyika yakakana, as small as it is. Up to now, kanyika kacho hakasati katomboziva chinonzi independence for 136 years. And I'm not counting independence yatakarwira ya 1980. Why? Paulo akazotaura, ndakutaura somuparidzi zvangu. Paura akazotaura kuti akakuroya indiani achitaura kuvagarati. We should answer that in the context of that emotion yekuti isisu semazimbabweans chii chinotitadzisa kunatsoongorora nyaya senyaya pasina zvokuti tiri kudya nazvo kana kuti tiri kuita sei. We fought for this country to be what it should be. Saka ngatiunganei ngatironge zvinhu zvinosenza. Differences are there, yes, on party political levels and so on. But why is it for 136 years we have never known what is independence in Zimbabwe? And from now on, things don't get better by just talking. What is it that we are here for? Tisinganangise propagandistic statements edu from our stance as politicians, as church people, as who else in society. That's my contribution, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Masiye. Masiye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ndaichifunza kuti nhasi ndandakaprepare presentation dzangu ndanzwa kuti ndichazopresenta but ndatozoona kuti mapresentations atozoitwa they were very critical as well, and ndotenda mapresenters for doing that. But what I'm just going to do was just kungoisa a contribution kangu from what I've been hearing people saying about the people's involvement, and it's very important. Kana chitaura people's involvement kuti zvatikutaura izvi, it's not just kungoti toda kuti tive involved zvisina substance. The constitution is quite clear on the involvement of of people in this process, and chingosaita mutemo section 3 subsection 2b constitution yedu yeZimbabwe inotaura kuti all power in Zimbabwe belongs to the people. Zvinhu zvakatonyogwa zvirimo mubumbiro romutemo, and it's clearly laid down, and I don't think anyone has to really interpret that in any other way. And it also states that government authority is derived from the people. So the issue of the people in this document, in the constitution, is very important. And the kuzoona takunzi atichave involved in in amending the constitution, especially when we are talking about a provision really pretty much fundamental in the constitution, then clearly everything changing after that is clearly unconstitutional, and it's not for the people, so to say. But the people are not involved in terms of the constitution itself. And takataza kuti even part the legislative authority irimo constitution section 117 subsection 1 inotaura kuti the legislative authority of Zimbabwe derives from the people. So zvinhu zvese izvi zvatikuona zvinoitika clearly, I think the powers that be just have to do a re-reading of that constitution again, so that they can actually do things very proper and sinegwara. And today, for the first time, not for the first time, maybe some other instances, I like what Dr. Mavaza said about him being convicted as well, that this process has to go to the people, that a referendum is needed. I think that messaging is very critical, and it's pro-constitution. And in anything that we have to do, we always have to remind these politicians that the authority are not derived, and they have to follow my processes. And there's no bypassing ZANU when it comes to my issue in this term extension. There's no argument. I know the government through the minister, but He's trying to give an interpretation here, term limit. That term limit means 5 years, not 2 years. So what he's saying is that because we're extending it 2 years, the definition here, term limit, is not covered by what they are doing right now, which is actually utter rubbish. My apologies for that. But you know, I had prepared a presentation. I know from a debate that I saw, it's very important the whole structure of the lawmaking process. And what's coming next. So that whenever we are even preparing anything that to something to the government or even the president, we need to be really informed about the whole process. Like, are we really educated about the whole process? Okay, the upper stage, what's going to come next? And there is another stage, yet an opportunity again to present our arguments. So that's what I prepared, but I know this is not the end. In 3 minutes, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Machona pane wanyora here paplatform zvinode kubvunzwa zvisati taita address tisati taenda kune the last 3 probably.
Yeah, I don't know kuti Dr. Mavaza bhozi vangazoita overwhelmed ka. I don't know. Vakakwanisa kupindura nongu then toenda kuna
pane wanyora here.
Yeah, that one we can read it, but I think vanokwanisa kuzopindura pamwechete. Vakadziranga vanyora kuti panapa. I understand that the current constitution says that any constitutional amendment should not benefit the incumbent if this so you can
okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. Okay, I will give an answer. There's quite a lot of things to say here, but I'll try to squeeze them in 3 minutes.
I don't by 5 minutes.
Oh, thank you very much. Let me start by answering the last question. Yes, it is true that the Constitution says any changes to the term of office should not benefit the incumbent. And that is very clear, and there is no confusion about it. But there is a confusion with the people who are fronting the amendment. We can make an amendment anytime we want to make it. It's constitutional to make an amendment. But when we touch a section which is protected by the very Constitution itself, then we need to follow what the Constitution says about that particular one. So the first one is, if we are dealing with the term change, what we are simply saying is, whatever is to be agreed on the term, it will not benefit the president who is currently in power now, which means by 2028, the president will have done his part. Now, what the argument which is there, which I'm not saying is right, neither am I saying it's wrong, is that what we are simply doing in 2028, if it passes Parliament, we are not extending the term of the president because he is a constitutionalist. We are simply suspending elections for 2 years so that election will start in 2030. So the question now, which has to be brought into the debate we are doing now, is whether the constitution, the electoral suspension to 2030 is in itself an extension of a term. So if we look at it that way, then we are simply asking a simple question to say, chingwa che brown chakaputiriwa mubepa rewhite ndiche brown here kana chiri bepa rewhite kana kuti ndiche brown kana chiri bepa rered. It doesn't matter what covers the bread, but what is inside is important. So what is inside is, as long as you stay more than 10 years, you have gone beyond the mandated period. So we cannot therefore argue around that. I know lawyers love to argue. Lawyers are paid for talking sense and nonsense, and we are paid for that. As long as I can convince you that my nonsense is correct, I am talking as a lawyer. But the fortunate thing is, a good lawyer is there to stand for the truth. I can tell you one thing from those who read the Bible, from the book of First John, not John, but First John, chapter 1 and the end to chapter 2. It tells us that we have a lawyer in Jesus Christ. The Bible other says we have an advocate in Christ. It says, my little children, listen, for if I've sinned, we have got a representative. So law is a profession of Christ. So says the Bible. So we are saying that a good lawyer is the lawyer who stands for integrity, the truth, and stands for it. But now let me come to some few answers, which I know some will be offended, but I'm going to answer them quickly. Firstly, my sister had indicated the lack of faith in the party, or ZANU-PF, and actually tried to hide behind the precedent. We do not have a precedent where ZANU-PF has been unfaithful. We always have precedents where ZANU-PF has been perfect. And therefore, we say, yes, there are mistakes we can make here and there as human beings and as a party. But we cannot, therefore, put our mind at the past and decide our future from the past. This is now a second chapter, a different time, where we are saying when the party says we are going out for these debates and consultations, and then we'll throw everything back to the parliament. If the parliament then votes and say we can continue and change the constitution without they take the referendum, that is what the parliament will have voted. But what we have to agree is we are not ignoring the people. The people are being involved. This is what we are doing now in the involvement of this. ZANU-PF, somebody has raised, I'm not sure whether it was my sister or Prof. Mtamba, I'm not sure, but let me just answer it. The resolution of a ZANU-PF conference, party, or ZANU-PF meeting, we must understand one thing. ZANU-PF resolutions, whether they touch the whole country or they touch the party, they don't have to go to the people first. They go to the party first. You first think about it in your own constituent, which is ZANU-PF, to your members. So when then it is going to spill and affect everybody, that's when it's taken to everybody. So the resolution was not supposed to be discussed with the people, with the majority. It was supposed to be discussed with the party, is what happened. And what we should appreciate is that, yes, I agree, ZANU-PF is not Zimbabwe. ZANU-PF is not the people. But ZANU-PF is the ruling party, and therefore it forms the government. And it decides on behalf of the country because it was given that mandate by the people. Now, that's why I am saying there is no way then as a party we can simply say we dictate what we want to do without going to the people. Now, we come to the point where we have been told that people are being assaulted, tortured, arrested if they say anything against 2030. I can assure you that this is not true. And this is not true. Why? Yes, we have heard that Professor Maduku was assaulted, but he was not assaulted by ZANU-PF. He was not assaulted by the police. He was not assaulted by the government officers or authority. Actually, all we know that we saw the pictures of him having been assaulted. We do not know whether he assaulted himself. That is to be proved. We're still investigating who caused that pain, who caused that assault on Professor Maduku, because the former president had actually told us about the Maduku strategy, where he would come up with other things which are not true for him to be sponsored. So this is still under investigation. You will not be surprised to find out that at the end of the day, Professor Maduku had assaulted himself and they tried to do an emotional blackmail. And we do not know up to now who has assaulted him, and that cannot be a reason to doubt ZANU-PF, because ZANU-PF was not involved in that. And we can still see that in Zimbabwe at the moment, unfortunately, we have had opposition parties. We have had Triple C, which turned mid-air, and then the president of Triple E abandoned his ship, jumped into the sea, and left the ship to wander. And another guy called Chabangu took over the ship and sailed it his own way. Do we then have to say the opposition is not trusted because a man ran away from his party and another one took it to ZANU? No, we cannot say that. We cannot give a people a blanket definition because of the mistakes of the very few people. And we need to understand that when people who are being arrested in meetings, there are laws in Zimbabwe. You've asked if Zimbabwe still have laws. Yes, we do have laws. And those laws have to be followed. If you gather into a meeting, whether you are discussing the constitution or discussing your food, and if it is a political meeting, there are ways you have to do. You have to inform the police that there is a meeting going on, which is of a political nature. If you do not and the police find out, they will either arrest you or ask you to stop going out with the meeting. So when people are arrested, they are not arrested for opposing the amendment. They are arrested for breaking the law. Whether it is they've broken the law or not, that can be something which can be looked at by court. That's why they are taken to court. They are not taken to ZANU-PF headquarters. They are taken to the court, and the courts are not ZANU-PF courts. They are Zimbabwean courts. I want to say again that okay, I'm just summarizing the last one. Okay. The church, I want all of us to understand this. If you don't, I want you to take a leaf from this. The church is the salt of the nation. The nation without salt is tasteless. It's lawless. It's unreasonable. But when the salt is added, which is the church, then the nation is the direction. So it is the question to say, what are we supposed to do now? As a church, we do not only have to pray, but we have to act. We have to do active involvement in this. When we say we are engaging the president, it is not enough to write a letter to the president and put it in press without seeing the president. Engagement is not engaging until you go before the president. There are so many ways where we can take the church, the pastors. I can even organize a meeting with the president tomorrow if you want to see him. You need to go before the president as the representative of the church and say, we want to talk to you. Let me tell you, we have a problem with some other churches who have actually been using the name of Jesus Christ as the means for their salary. Some people are using Christ as means of making money. And those are the churches who are actually getting money publicly and then go ahead, instead of a service or a sermon during divine service, they go on and preach politics. Those are not churches. Those are the wolves in the sheepskin. And we must beware of them because the Bible clearly tells us to be careful of those false prophets who will come up here and tell you that they've got a prophet from heaven that 2030 is proper or 2030 is not proper. That will be a lie. And we'll talk about it next time. Now to the closing, yes. We want to say that what is it with Zimbabwe? Professor, you've asked this question. If we've not been independent from wherever you say. Let me tell you, Zimbabwe has been independent from 1980. But if one or two people within Zimbabwean independent state are trying to push the country away from their independence, the churches to come in and call those people to order. We cannot be influenced by money. We have to be influenced by principle. And again, the constitution is being abused in most cases by men of the robe, by the churches themselves. The moment the church wants to be paid by the state, then that church is no longer a church. And we need to understand one thing again, that we cannot be defeated as a church or as a people. The people cannot be defeated or threatened. The people will stand by the truth. There are so many times where so many things were raised in closing. If you allow me 1 minute, just 1 second, let me read this out for the benefit of all of us. I was going to say here for Comrade Advocate Masiye, some churches are compromised. It is the purpose of this forum to pray for those churches to come back to the way. People who are involved in trying to make a constitution, changing a constitution is in itself constitutional, but we need to effectively and actively seek orders of the president. We can organize that for you. You can meet the president anytime. And therefore, there's a lot to talk about, but maybe one day we'll talk about it. I cannot answer all the questions, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Pane three I know Advocate Masiye wanted to say something, but maybe we'll give you to Vambupinda vanga vakasumudza pana Mishek na Babs handizivi kuti mufundisi Garikaya vachiri kuda kutaura here vambe vakasumudza ndiri kuona kuti Reverend Makai right saka toti Mishek Babs
ngati Mishek Bab na Rebecca
na mufundisi Makai.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Hello, thank you, Wamwari wafundisi, with this program yakanaka. Inina ngudine ngu yangu yakati wande but kantaone chikurumidza. Because pachitangwa chirongwa cha amendment number 3 ndakangwa kuna Minister of Legal Affairs zihambe vachitaura kuti this amendment taitira nekuti tiri kutedzera dzimwe nyika uye tiri kuda kuti development ienderere mberi. Mubvunzo wangu yandinayo pano iri kuti inini netsvakurudzo yandakaita ndakaona kuti out of 195 sovereign states dzatinadzo in the world, only 5 countries have a 7-year presidential and parliamentary term limits, which is roughly 2%. So, is that really what we admired? Then the second statement, in Africa, the countries that hold elections every 7 years are mostly authoritarian states such as Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea. The leader of Cameroon is 92 years old and has been in power for 44 years. And the other leader is of Equatorial Guinea, who is 83 years old, and he has been in power for 47 years. And his son is the vice president of that nation. So, what exactly are we admiring there? Are we copying authoritarianism in our country? Then the other question in Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe was born out of protracted liberation struggle in which many sacrificed their lives, flesh and blood. Some perished in the bushes while others returned with disabilities and deep emotional scars. One of the core principles of that struggle was majority rule. May the fallen heroes and heroines rest in peace. Those who are still with us, we continue to respect and salute you. But my question is, are we saying the efforts to change the very principles that led veterans to go to the war, does that mean the liberation of veterans are now considered irrelevant? Because we are now abandoning majority rule in preference of minority rule. Because if you see, we have got 300 parliamentarians, which is 280 MPs and 60 senators. But if you look at statistics, 2023, 4.5 million people voted in 2023 election. So are we saying could 0%, less than 1% of the population in the have to decide the future, yes, Zimbabwe, while our forefathers, our brothers and sisters died in the bushes to fight for majority rule. Then last question is very good. Development from 2017 up to date. From 2026 to 2020 to 2030, then the YIP development, the current leader or president, that's one of the next leader. That's it.
Thank you.
Maita henyu mfundisi, ndoda kutenda nenguva yamandipa ndichitenda nechirongwa chakanaka kudai chamatiunzira. I think ruzhinji rwezimbabwe ranherera, wanga wasisina kwekuenda, wanga wasisina vanhu vanokwanisa kuvamiririra vari paground. Naizvozvo tinofara chaizvo kana chechi ichiuya ichipinda pakati pematambudziko ariko kuZimbabwe kudai. Ende ndisati ndataura zvandoda kutaura ndoda kungokomenta kune zvataurwa naWamavaza kuti hakuna vanhu vari kurohwa. Honestly, Wamavaza mungatomira pachivhitikiti muchitaura zvinhu zvakadaro muchiti hakuna vanhu vari kurohwa kana madhuku akarohwa anenge akazvirohwa. You know, such statements kumunhu anozviti doctor hazvitombofambirani kana. You are trying, toziva kuti muri pabasa, you are trying to defend your government or your party. We know ZANU-PF has got a history of Tagari. We know a lot has happened. Vanhu vakawanda vakafa vachifira mumaoko eZANU. That's not a secret. That's known. And ezvinezvi vanhu vari kutaura, ukangotaura nezvokuti no to 2030, even chero social media we are being bullied. Kungotaura basi kuti no to 2030 unobhuliwa, asi at the same time the same government yakaisa mitemo ye-anti bullying. Kana ukabhula munhu weZANU unochiona. Asi ivo vanhu avo varakashi vari busy kubhula vanhu pasocial media vanenge vataura kuti no to 2030, which is very, very absurd. And ndoda kuuya kuchechi kuti zvamuri kuuya kudai pasocial media muchitaura nyaya dzakanaka kudai, kumakereke kwenyu nyaya dzakadai dziri kutaurwa here? Because ini ndinoziva even chero kuvhota chaiko unonzwa vanhu vachiti hanzi vanhu vemakereke havafaniri kuvhota nokuti politics. Muri kudzidzisa here vanhu vamuri kutungamira zviri kuitika? Muri kupawo nguva here kumachechi kuti zvitaurwe zvinhu zvatiri kutaura panapa? Zvichida wacho wamuri kutungamirira hamusitombotaura nyaya dzakadaro, asi pajikerere muri kuya muchitaura kuti church. Who is the church? And kana macongregants enyu nyaya dzisingataurwi idzodzo, saka tiri kuendepi senyika? I'm talking this from experience. Ndiri muhwisiri akakwana. Ndaona pana vafundisi vangu panapa. Ndiri muhwisiri akakwana ndichiri kuZimbabwe, nyaya idzodzo dzisingataurwi, asi takatine vafundisi vangu very active kuZimbabwe Council of Churches. But muchechi nyaya dzakadaro dzanga dziri taboo, dzisingataurwi, dzichinzi politics. Saka muri kuti chii nenyaya? Because at this juncture we need people to be educated. Kana tika-educate vanhu vari mumachechi, ta-educate nyika yeshe, because you find kuti almost more than 50% of Zimbabweans are Christians. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Babs.
Thank you. Ngataende pana Rebecca.
Mazvita ine mukana wamandipa. Ndiri kudawo kutaura samufundisi ndogotaura samai, mudzimai weZimbabwe akamiririra vana vatiri kuona. Ndakunzwai vana baba muchitaura sezvamuri kutaura, asi ndoda kungoti chekutanga ndakamira samai, madekani kubereka kunorwadza. Endai paUniversity of Zimbabwe right now. Kana muri kutaura kuti zvakanaka, endai munoona zviri kuita vana. Endai mumastreets emarokisheni, musataure muri mudzimba dzenyu mumasabhabhu. Pindai mumarokisheni muone zviri kuitika vadikani. Uyai titaure semaZimbabweans pano. Vafundisi muri pano, muri vanhu vaMwari. We cannot remain silent as the church. We have to step up. Uyai titaure nevanhu. Ngatitaure, hatitoda kutaura language yehatred. Toda kuvhura madziso according to the word of God. Tine right yekuti titaure murudo neruremekedzo. Tinoremekedza varipo vakaiswa naMwari in authority. Tinonamatira. But we also have the right as citizens to hold those in power accountable. The church's voice must be heard. The time has come. Kuti ini vana baba vedu vari mberi, isu tivafundisi vanyika hatina voice ronzi. Hatigoni dzimwe nguva kusvika kwamunofika. But tiri kukumbira kuti church yadi kubatana. Timbotaura nevatendi nekuti mumachechi ndo makazara vanhu. Uyai titaure chokwadi. We must hold our leaders accountable. Tiri kuvavhotera tisu, tiri kuvanamatira tisu, but kunamata kusina mabasa kunokwana. So ndiri kukumbira imi vanokwanisa vane power yekupinda kunoona president, tibatsireiwo kuti muite call for the church. Munhu wese ngaadaidzwa anoti anonamata. Mufundisi wese tive on the ground, tive on the same page. Titaure nevanhu, hatikutaura nevanhu zvekuti ZANU PF MTC hazvinei nesu izvo. Toda kutaura chokwadi chinodiwa naMwari. Kana iri nyaya yeconstitution, it's our right as citizens. Hazvinei nekuti mufundisi. Before I'm a pastor, I'm a citizen of Zimbabwe. Reality iripo, Mavaza mungataura zvinhu. Asi regai nditaure samai, mwoyo yedu iri kurwadza. Kuona zviri kuitika vana vatambi muZimbabwe. Muri kutaura kuti mukuombera maoko mune shuwa nazvo. Vana vedu dzambavha muZimbabwe. Mune shuwa nazvo kuti mukuombera maoko idzi. Vana mai muZimbabwe havachagazi. Saka kuti vana vararame nyangwe baba vari mumba. Vapedza vakadzi vachinohura kuti vana vararame muZimbabwe. Ngatisadaro ruposhi. Ini ndataura samai, ndataura sapasta. Pamusoro ndisati ndapedza. Pezvandiri kuda kutaura. Ndoda kuti nditaure zvakare, sorry, ndataura neshungu. Asi ndoda kuti nditaure zvakare. The church exists to uphold truth, justice, and the dignity of every person. Saka isusu sechurch tiri kuona kuti taakubvunza Mavaza protection nevafundisi vatiri kutuma pano kuti ngavaenzi vanotaura ngeipi. Mungatiudzawo here vaMavaza, modzokera kudare renyu, modzoka motipa assurance yekuti vanhu vari kuita outspeak chokwadi, varida kutaura vafundisi. Vamwe vacho vakutaura zvisiri because vari kumbunyikidzwa, vari kutyira upenyu hwavo. Vamwe vari kutoti kudzokera kumusha, kuti tikadzokera kumusha tisikachisungwa pa-airport. What freedom do we have in our country? We are not here because we want to be here. We want to come back home. We want to invest in our country. We want to do good in our country. But torambira kuno here because havasi kuda kutitendera kuti titaure. Mazvita.
Taakuda kuzopendera panapa. Regai ndipe nguva kuna waMasiye. Wamutamba second onini here.
Second, vasimudza zvakare. I think vangada responda something. Saka maybe mukatanga naye wamutamba then koya vaMasiye then tozonzwa kuna Mavaza then mazopa inyu panel yanga ichi maybe zvinobatsira.
Sorry, sorry, mukapawa vanhu ma2 minutes because of time differences, otherwise they will be forced to leave the meeting because kwamuri it's now very late. Saka vanhu vakaramba vachikwenda munozoona tabuda meeting.
Okay, musabuda banda porters. 1 minute. Okay. Wamutamba 1 minute. Toya kuna waMasiye. Toya kuna waMavaza. Then tochuya onidedwa a summarize nyaya yawo. 1 minute vana veZimbabwe. Yes. Ngatitaure vana vamwe chete. Ndoziva kuti mumwe muite vana vakafanana. And I would not love a family where everyone says yes. But tinopana mazano. Zano rangu randiri kukusiyirai nderekuti nyika iyi yakarwirwa kuti iwe zvairi izvo. Saka ngationei zvatingaite pane kuramba tichingotaura. Iye zvino tikapedza panapa Mukwindidza maorganize another meeting. Ndiri kuda kuti tiende mberi sevana vamwe chete veZimbabwe without all these propagandistic statements. Timove kubva ipapo as patriots of Zimbabwe. Mazvida.
VaMasiye varipo here Mhaka? You are muted.
Ndripo.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, I mean like ndada kurespond dangu papatisa waMavaza. Kuti vaMavaza vanga vambotanga zvakanaka pavanga ZIM Time vazoenda kupolitics ndopata zorasana. But the thing is like vanhu ma-concerns evanhu panapa, but they are very important. And I think it's also important for you, Dr. Mavaza, to take them seriously and also to be truthful, especially Kanamako analyze my situations that look like Zimbabwe. As of yesterday, today actually, we've got students who are missing in Zimbabwe who were participating, my debate here, a constitution. Honorable BT was arrested. It's all over the media because of his participation in this movement. So the community in these discussions as well. So when people raise my concerns about ZANU PF and its actions towards my citizens, especially Panyaze engagement, I think it's very important to start diluted your very, very crucial contributions to these amendments and politics. I think it's very important to separate those. And Kanapana issues, I think it's also important for you, say very a lawyer of not, but at least when a response not out, okay, that that concern, let me investigate it and find out more about that without really being offensive or defensive, and also insulting intelligence, the ZANU and all that stuff. But lastly, the ZANU is also, probably in agreement with you about the term, in as much as Pachita Ronya, they want to camouflage it, they just want to extend, my elections and all that stuff. I do totally agree with you on that one. No matter how much they would want to interpret that, they just want to delay my election. The fact that the presidential term will be extended, the parliamentary term will be extended, is clearly a violation of the constitution in itself. Because if you look at section 328, subsection 1, define a term limit. A term limit, is defined as a provision of the constitution which limits the length of time that a person may hold or occupy public office. So if the consequences of the elections, to delay my elections for 2 years, I extend that term year president, I extend that term year parliament, then it kicks in that provision in constitution. So there's no way that the government can go around issue a referendum, and also there's no way they can actually go around certain issues very, very important. And section 95 subsection 2, it clearly falls within the definition and my limit vice president and president and so forth. That's what I only wanted to say. But just in landing, I think people really appreciate your contribution to this Mavaza. You could just respect those concerns, especially when they come by issues regarding civil and political rights. The arrests that are happening, those should stop. The abductions that are happening, also those should stop. And you coming here to a platform and you being a member of ZANU PF, I think people will appreciate you more if you would actually, get out of this platform to stop all that, so that next time when we debate, we know that we were debating someone who's very sincere.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. I told my mistake.
Thank you very much. It is me now. I'll go straight to respond. Firstly, I'm going word by word. To start with, there's a speaker who asked whether the amendment is done because we are copying other countries. Amendment 3 has not been requested because we are copying other countries. But it was referred in the submissions that yes, some countries have done it. It was only an example to show that it is doable and others are doing it. We do not try to change, to amend the constitution because we are copying South Africa or we are copying Cameroon or other countries. That is not the reason for the amendment. The reason is for the purpose of the country and us alone. And now I need you to go further and explain here and clearly say it, Masiye, while you're listening. ZANU PF is not a party of thugs. If one person in the party behaved like a thug, does not translate and reflect the mind of the whole party. ZANU PF is the most peaceful party in the world and very democratic. And therefore, if you don't agree with that, it does not mean that you are being disrespected. You simply need some little lessons which I'm free to give for free. And I need people to understand that Yes, people are suffering back home, not all. People not getting jobs, some of them. This has nothing to do with what we are talking about. We are talking about the amendment. I can hear people here who become so emotional about the suffering at home, suffering in Zimbabwe, suffering wherever we are. Yes, we are not condemning. We are not saying it is right. It is wrong. It has to be changed. The government has to work. That's the reason why we need to change to have elections every 5 years so that the government goes in there to work and impress its constituents. And therefore, if you mix the suffering back home and the amendment, you are mixing two things. I can hear some emotionally charged statements from a mother, pastor, sister, and whatever. It is not the issue of the amendment. The issue of misgovernance and the improper running of the country by some few people or a lot of them, it does not reflect to the amendment. Let us deal with the issue of the amendment. But now let me be clear here and be very careful. Zimbabwe is protected by the law, and the law still works. Yes, Monzora was arrested. BT was arrested. He was not arrested for challenging the amendment. There are reasons for his arrest. Look at the charge sheet. Look why the police have arrested him. There is the law which they believe he has broken. So the fact that he is challenging the amendment of the Constitution is not the reason for arrest. That is not a crime. And therefore, it is very proper for us to stand here and emotionally charge people by simply talking about the sufferings back home and then say it's all because of the amendment. People have been arrested even before the talk of the amendment. People are still being arrested even today. And this is not in any way the reason for amendment. So therefore, we need to talk about whether it is legal or illegal for this amendment to succeed. I have said, and I will say it again, as a person, as myself, as Dr. Mavaza, I do not agree with a 1-day extension or 2 days. I have said here at so many platforms, on behalf of myself, not the party, that if a student is writing an exam and the exam is 2 hours, he cannot come back and say there are proper good answers I'm supposed to put, give me 3 hours, 3 more hours. That child will have failed. So there is no a project we can say it needs an extension of the term. Those fighting for the extension, those who want the extension, they are doing it for their own personal gains and not national gains. But however, when the parties come up to an agreement, we then are bound by the resolution of the party as party members. And therefore, there is no amount of demonizing ZANU-PF which can make ZANU-PF a thuggish party. It is not. It is a perfect party. And in conclusion, I'll urge all of us here, when we talk about amendment, let us see the difference between the suffering of people of Zimbabwe and the amendment. That's a different thing. Come up with another day, pastors, reverends here, bishops here, come up with another debate on how to deal with the suffering in Zimbabwe and how to put that to cause and to account. That's a different story. But the moment you mix the two, we always come up being emotional. And then finally, when you are commenting on what I have said for my party, for myself, and for my country, I think it is respectful not to be personal. Because I can be personal too. But let's continue and stick to the things on the table. And that's what you say. And finally, I'll pray for each one of you and for God to open your eyes so that you see that ZANU-PF is the best thing you've ever seen and you'll always see. And ZANU-PF is the best part for us.
All right,
thank you very much. We want to give the last opportunity for our speakers to summarize our debate today. Let's start with the Secretary General.
Thank you, Mfundisi. I really want to appreciate the opportunity to be part of this conversation. Normally, I want to confess that I think the person who was communicating with me had a challenge in really trying to pin me down to be this conversation. And part of the reason why I don't attend such conversations is what we're discussing, how we lose focus when we are discussing the issues that are affecting our country has become political. With all due respect to Dr. Mavaza, but if I had known that the conversation will involve me and a politician, I would not have come. Because politicians, they don't tell the truth. And then it creates problems. And when we know that Kwana Mamandaza, Kusabs, Kwaka Piswa, Tikaita call upon the police to make sure that the culprits are brought to book. Up to now, nothing has happened. And up to now, because Zimbabwe, we know police in Zimbabwe. Within 2 days, if but now almost 2 weeks now, a certain from a police so when we have this conversation, they must help us to build our country and to be honest. So I think that my and also I want to say the other problem that we do is to label the church. One contributor said the church in Zimbabwe at home is captured. Such kind of statement, I apologize to say, those are careless statements, because there is no element of truth in that, because there are individuals who are captured. There are churches that are created by the government, by the party in this country. We have got churches for ED. All of us, we know. We've got pastors for ED. All of us, we know. But let us not put a blanket on other people who are going through a difficult time in this country, trying to speak for the church and stand for the church. So because what I think of is when you are in the diaspora, when we meet like this, we appreciate when you say, these are the issues that we think the church can stand with and bring to the attention of the government. These are the issues. And help us also, because it's not easy for us, people who are in Zimbabwe. We are also monitored everywhere we go. You were having a meeting there. We want to know the minutes, who was there, and all that. We are going through those things every day. So what we need is your support, your ideas, so that we feel encouraged to continue doing the work that we are doing, so that we know that we've got people who are praying for us, people who are giving us ideas on how to deal with the difficult situation that we have in this country. And also, in our country, the rule of law has been replaced by the rule of fear. People are afraid in this country. People are afraid. And we need to help our people to be able to rediscover themselves, because fear, I never notice it. But we need all your support. What I would appreciate from you, my appeal to you is give us the ideas. What you think we can do together. Some of us we have got the privilege of speaking to the authorities. You help us with ideas. Bring these issues that to the attention of the president, to the attention of even of the bishops themselves. Somebody asked the question of saying, are these things being discussed in churches? You know, the context in Zimbabwe is not conducive for people to say that. You hear that people were beaten in church because of politics. But what we have consistently done is we write these statements and ask the pastors to read these issues and these letters to the congregants. So this is what is happening. But the truth of the matter, we need to come up with ideas together. With these kind of platforms are important for us as the church here at home, as the leaders of the church here at home, when we get ideas from you and say, this is what the church, we think the church can do this in order to help the situation at home. But otherwise, I really appreciate the conversation and the thinking that I was hearing from the contributors in this platform. But I think I've shared my concern and also my wish as the ecumenical leader, as the one who is the voice of the church. there are quite a number of churches that are formed here in Zimbabwe. Last week, after we issued our statement, there's a bishop called Rokipo who addressed the nation after our statement, saying the church is in support of the Third Amendment. And people were asking him, young people, which church are you representing? And even Mavaza, what I know is ZANU-PF knows what the church, if they want to engage the church, they know the church. The church that stood with this country during the liberation struggle, the church that was there during the Lancaster Conference, the church that stood with the people when the nationalists were arrested, were in prison, the church that stood and covered the gap against the Smith regime, ZANU-PF knows that church. And it is now, when ZANU-PF wants to hear the truth, they know the church to consult. So I'm saying, please, let's desist from labeling people that the church has been captured. I agree. Many people say the church has gone to the dogs, but I beg to differ. The dogs have come to the church. And you need to pray for us so that we continue to speak truth to power and continue to be prophetic. Otherwise, I thank you, conveners and moderator. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bishop Mhaka.
I don't think that I actually.
Bishop Mhaka, Muchipo here.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. Ngatiende kuna Masiye. Mesomashava, tibatsirei.
Moyo wangu unonzwa kubaikama chaizvo chaizvo ndichiona kuti you are divorced from the reality iri kuZimbabwe ikurarama nevana veZimbabwe, the reality yenyika yenu. Ukaenda kuna Esther chikumbiro changu vaMavaza, ukasvika kuna Esther mukaverenga nyaya iyoyo unonzwa kuti Esther apirwa hondo yakanga yakatarisana neverudzi rwake maJews. Asati papinda kuna mambo kwakanga kupinda senge asina kumusherwa kana watungatua chakupesana kusvika paanoti kana ndakazamba kwamambo ndikeze ndasinoda kuti ndikuonese neumwe muono unganyanyisaniswa nevanhu kana zvakatarisana nezvi mambo paakaona esi haana kumudzinga haana kuramba nekuti chii akanga asinomupa mukana wekuti akanga isiri nguva yaEsther maZimbabwe anenge akakuruka achionekwa sevanikodzero namambo zvinozuva. Ukaenda kuna Samuel chapter 21 Rizipa paakachema nekuda kurwadziwa kwevana vake vaviri, asi akachemera nevana vamwe 5 vaMikaeri. Akanowaridza akarara akaungudza kwakanga kuna mangu aibve David akatonzwa kutevazari akagadziridza vaida kugadzira. Isusu vana veZimbabwe tikatambudzika ndambopa hangu kasamari kekuti sei nakudai tichipesa ini kunge ngasare zvikuru kana kukawanikwa pasipoti iyoyo nekuti semaZimbabwe tichikwanisa kutaura chokwadi tichitaura zvatiri kubvira nazvo senyika dzinorwadza because in every aspect yeZimbabwe kubva kuvana kuenda kumarodhi kuenda kutini zviri kurwara ende zviri kurwadza. Saka kukawanikwa kusina chitomu sezvataurwa nekuti ndozvatiri kutaura kuti vanhu havangaziite automatic promotion, automatic extension through the constitutional amendment ivo haiite vaMavaza and unosvika kuti maitiro amuri kuzvinhaisi and tine urombo vaMavaza vanokudzira kuti ZANU-PF tine urombo isusu semaZimbabwe tine kwejenda inosvika tine urombo hwakakwana semaZimbabwe vachimonyorora vachiita kunge ndohwa umwe utandi hwaunoda kuzotanga hamutooni kuti ndoukadzi ndouisia Mavaza nezanu PF nehurumende yamakacheka mukachekesa ma-MC mukachekesa everyone nekugovana mari yedu yamuri kukonekta every day tiri kukumbira nemweya waMwari maresources edu muri kugovana kuti sasiseriyo yamuri kukonekta kubva kwatiri every day yemataxes nema-income tax everything revenue yese muri kushandisa inini kuti rova muri kushandisa inini kuti dzvanyirira saka tiri kuti please wanaiwo moyo mutarise future yeZimbabwe.
Thank you so much. Tisi praise. Nguva yacho yafamba, but I'm sure kuti ichavhura platform pamwe pamberi apa zvakare, but hii time yacho yafamba tingazoningira. Mukwindidza chipedzisai tikufaraidi.
Tiri kuda kutenda vadikani wedu, watauri wedu wetakakoka. Tinoziva kuti kukuisai patight. Asi ndozvetinofanira kuti tiite kuti tikwanise kuwakana nekufamba kuenda mberi. Kunyanya apo tinenge takatarisana nezvinhu zviri kushungurudza vanhu vakawanda munyika yedu yekumusha. Hatisati tapedza tikapuwa nguva zvakare tiri kumirira kuti timboona nema-MPs kuti atitaurirewo kuti vanonga vachivhotera chinyi ngemhaka ipi. Tukanangisa ndopetiri kuda kuenda ipapo. I hope tinokwanisa kuvaona vanoti tinouya kotaura kuti tiri kuvhotera chinyi ende tiri kukurudzira vamwe vedu kuti wati chinyi. Wabati wezvigaro tinokutendei nenguva yakanaka yekuti simudzira nekumbotizungunisa kuti pfungwa nemwoyo nemweya zvimbozunguniswa, asi ndo zvinoita kuti timire pakanaka, titsvakane, tionane, tifambe tiri pamwe chete. Ndakudzosera nguva kune mubati wechigaro Mazvita.
Mazvita mufundisi Mukwindidza. Ndinoda kupa kutenda kune vese vaparticipate. Tichingogara tichirovedzera goal yedu isusu hatizi kuda kuva ma-politicians. Saka I know kuti dzirongwa tinozova emotional kazhinji kacho mumwe nomwe anenge ane party yake anosapota. But bumbiro kana kuti donzo rediscussion citizens of Zimbabwe, what is the benefit of what is happening, and I think someone had talked about that this bill pass the test of good governance. Saka ndozvatonyanya kuda kuti zvichinge zvichidiscuss. Even tikazodedzera another platform, we expect kuti tisanyanya kuva tinozobata emotional kuti ndoda kuenda nokuti ndiwe party yangu yakadai kana kuti zvakadai. But I think this discussion was very healthy. I just want to thank you kuti papa healthy discussion, and ndo zvinokurudzirwa kuti tinofanirwa kuramba tichidaro. Toda kutenda zvikuru vafundisi vedu vauya nasisi mutaura ngaripo namufundisi Mukwindidza nekumoderator. Ndoda kukutendai mese zvikuru kuti matora nguva yenyu kuva pano paplatform muchiti taurawo zviri kuitika sechikristu kuti semakristu tinofanirwa kufamba takaita sei. Saka thank you so much, especially vari kuZimbabwe. I know kuti nguva yamatora yakareba kunge muri pano nesu, asi kwatosviba usiku pakati peusiku, asi mazvipira. Saka Mwari vakuitirei zvakanaka. Ndichapa nguva ino kuti tibve tinopiwa munamato wokuvhara tigoisirwa nyasha. Mufundisi garikai muri free. Alright, saka ndakuti mutipewo nyasha nokungotinamatirawo tigofamba mune zvakanaka.
Regai tinamati. Baba muzita renyu Jesu, tinouya kunemi Mwari mumasikati ano, mushure mekunge tine hurukuro inobata mwoyo yedu, inobata vanhu vese, inobata nyika yose. Pamwe pacho Mwari tinokurukura maansa tinenge tisina, asi rudairo rwangu Mwari kuti zvese zvatanga tiri kukurukura kwanga kusiri kungokurukura nje, mune zvamatoita mukati menguva dzino Mwari, mune zvamatobata mukati menguva dzino Mwari. Dai matidzidzisa Mwari kuva mature enough to understand vanhu patinenge tiri kukurukura, tive so mature kuti ti-understand kuti zviri kunzi kudini Mwari. Munguva dzino Mwari tiri kukumbirira Zimbabwe neutungamiriri hwese kuti vaise nzeve pasi, vonzwa kuti vanhu vari kudii Mwari. Dzimwe dzenguva Mwari, nekuda kwokuti tinenge tiinaro simba, takatadza kuteerera zviri kutaurwa zvikatipa kuti zvisatimirire zvakanaka. Baba vakanaka vanoteerera, vana vakanaka vanotaura zvakanaka kuna Baba. Tibatsirei Mwari kuti tinge tiine ukama neutungamiriri hwedu zvakanaka Mwari. Zviri kunyangwe zvikarwadza tikazvitaura neukasha, pamwe pacho zvinotadza kugashirika nevari pamusoro, pamwe pacho tikadzora maresponse aine ukasha, vana vanosimuka nehasha vakashayiwa marespekti Mwari. Ichi chiro chakavanzika matiri. Dai vanga mauya kunesu Baba wakudenga seMazimbabwe, timbosvika munguva yekukurukurirana, timbosvika munguva yekutaurirana. Kunyange mushoko raMwari munotaura Mwari kuti uyai katitaurirane. Inini Mwari vari kumusoro kudenga, munotoita zvekutikumbira, zvekutinyengerera kuti uyai katitaurirane. Kureva kuti kutaurirana kune zvakunoita mukati meupenyu hwedu Mwari. Dai tachikopa kubva pana Mwari mbune vanoda kutaurirana. Tiri kuda kuti Baba vari kudenga munguva dzino, pane zvatoitika pano, pane zvatoitika kuZimbabwe. Tiri kukumbira mweya mulenzi uno Mwari, tiri kukumbira mweya waMwari kubata pamusoro peZimbabwe right now Mwari. Ichokwadi nyika, ukatarisa zviri kuraramika Mwari, ukatarisa uipi hwaita kuZimbabwe Mwari, pamwe pacho unofunga kuti tiri kuenda itenzi. Chetibatsiraika Mwari, chetaurai nesu Mwari, tibatai moyo mumwe nemumwe Jehovha, nekuti chatichaita nhasi tiri kutokontribhuta mukuvaka kana mukuparadza. Mwari wekudenga, tanzwa muchitaura pakati pedu, munhu wachitaurirana Mwari. Ndanga ndiri kuti Mwari wekudenga, dai zihurukuro dzaizoenda kumberi, dzaizonobatsira nyika yose Mwari. Baba wekudenga, dai matinzwa panguva dzino Mwari, dai mambotinzwa Mwari wekudenga, dai matinzwa Mwari, dai matinzwa Mwari. We go back again kumasoko aisombotaurwa nemukuru wenyika. Zimbabwe will never be a colony again. Baba wekudenga, tiri kutaura kuti Zimbabwe will never suffer. No more debt, no more kuneura ropa, no more
Well. Thank you, our viewers and listeners who have stayed with us for the past 3 hours. This was a very long program organized by the Methodist Church, Vabvuwi. We want to thank them so much. Of course, working with Change Radio. This has been very informative. I think instead of just hearing from people on the spaces, today we got to hear citizens speaking, citizens that are not normally on the spaces, some citizens that were in Zimbabwe, that were speaking from Zimbabwe, especially the Zimbabwe Council of Churches, the Secretary General, Reverend Dimingu, and also the President, Bishop Mhaka. It was very, very enlightening. And we also got to hear all the work that the church is doing in Zimbabwe, especially the Zimbabwe Council of Churches, who are backing up their statement, their very strong statement that they issued a few days ago, supporting and standing with the people of Zimbabwe. We heard the Secretary General reiterating the same things, saying they are standing with the people of Zimbabwe. The bishop also said the same thing, that if this bill does not stand the test of governance, then it should not be supported by the churches. Powerful, really very powerful. And I'm sure other churches are also hearing. We want to hear from all the churches. We want to hear from the Catholics. We want to hear from the Seventh-day Adventists. We want to hear from Zayoja. We want to hear from Machechi Ana Papa. We want to hear from all the churches in Zimbabwe, speaking the way that we heard from the Methodist Church and the Zimbabwe Council of Churches. This is what church means. The church, as they were saying, is the pulse of people's consciences. And I left this meeting very empowered and very convinced that we, the citizens, are going to fight this amendment, Bill number 3, not only fight, but also win it. I have every conviction that this bill is not going to pass. I also have every conviction that they are going to go for a referendum. So, citizens, let us prepare. But I don't want to depart from what the pastors said before I also reiterate what they said. That when I think someone had said that churches are captured, the church has been captured in Zimbabwe. The Zimbabwe Council of Churches Secretary General, Reverend Dimingu, really pushed back on that, and with facts. He did not just push back, but he was very vehement and said, not all churches are captured. Not all pastors are captured. Yes, he agreed that there is something that is called churches for ED or pastors for ED. But he also said that some of these churches are actually created for that purpose. And he also pushed back on the statement, the common statement that we see everywhere, where we hear people saying the church has gone to the dogs. He said, no, the church has not gone to the dogs. In fact, the dogs have come to the church. That's very, very powerful. The church is being infiltrated. That is what it basically means. that ZANU-PF is trying to infiltrate the church, but not all churches have been infiltrated, and not all pastors have been infiltrated or captured. He rejected that, and I totally agree with that. And he also went on to say that there are pastors that are being persecuted right now. There are pastors that are being followed after having meetings, especially meetings of this nature. They will be asked questions: who was there, who organized the meeting, who was saying what, who was doing what. These are things that they have to go through, that these churches or some of these genuine pastors have to go through. And if you are listening, you need to, be, give them an emotional ear and listen to their concerns. But by and large, I am happy that the church is playing its role, that of standing with the vulnerable. You cannot call yourself a church when an injustice is being done, when something wrong, something bad, something ungodly is being done to the people of Zimbabwe, and the people of Zimbabwe are part of the church. They are the church. They are your congregants. You cannot stand by whilst those people are being violated. Right now, we know of a young student from Chinoi University who has been abducted. People don't know where he is. He is being abducted simply because he is attending meetings that are talking about the Constitution. How do we respond to the Constitution if we don't congregate, if we can't stand up, if we can't gather and discuss the Constitution? Why is it that other people are allowed to congregate? I think one of the participants from Canada, I think it was Mr. Ngue or so, he highlighted that issue, that Garwe and others and other ZANU-PF people are moving the length and breadth of Zimbabwe. Yesterday he was in Mutoko, Mashonaland East, and he was moving freely, drawing what seemed like large groups, large numbers of people, and nothing was done to them. The police are not stopping them. But today we heard that Tendai BT and other people were arrested for organizing similar meetings in Mutare. Then you now then agree with everyone that there is nothing peaceful around the constitutional amendment. This was also something that was touched in this discussion, that people were highlighting all these human rights abuses. And Dr. Mavaza, a ZANU-PF lawyer based in the United Kingdom, and a ZANU-PF spokesperson, so to speak, he had said that the constitutional amendment hearings and everything around it are being done peacefully. There's nothing peaceful about that. People pushed back on that. I think those that were there and those that were listening and those that are joining in now, you also want to hear that in that meeting that lasted almost 3 hours, not even one person, not even one person was supporting the amendment bill number 3. Remember, this was very apolitical. It was not Chief Shoshe's program. It was not Change Radio's program. We were just coming in as publicists or people that were publicizing what they were doing. But it was something that is coming from the church. In the church, you have ZANU-PF people. In the church, you have MDC people. You have Tendai BT's people. You have so and so's people, Monzora, and others. It's the church. You don't show your membership card when you join the church. So it means everyone was free to attend. Those who didn't attend did not attend on their own, or for their own reasons. But this is something that was widely circulated on all groups, church groups, Methodist groups here in North America and everywhere else in the diaspora. And the people, various people from various parties were asked to attend. And nobody not even one person spoke in favor of the constitutional amendment bill number 3, except Dr. Mavaza. But something very interesting also happened in this program, because Dr. Mavaza himself, under pressure from the people, I should say that, because everyone was just against this bill, under pressure, bulking from the pressure of the people, the Zimbabwe Council of Churches and others, ended up agreeing with the people that this bill has to go to a referendum. Not one referendum, but 2 referendums. That was very, very, very powerful, very, very profound. And I actually wrote it on my page, that this is what Dr. Mavaza said, and he is on record. We are going to publish his statement or his utterance or whatever he said during this program. It is there. It was being recorded, and we have it on camera. And he said that this has to go to a referendum. So the pressure that you are putting, folks, is working. Pressure works. And to people like us, Zimbabweans, there is nothing that we can do. We can't go to war with ZANU PF. We don't stand a chance. We can't start anything because we don't have what they have. They have guns, they have machine guns, they have everything. All we can do is put pressure. All we can do is speak up. All we can do is do what the people in this meeting were doing today. People spoke up. People, just said everything that they wanted to say, and I just like that. And of course, some people might also want to understand the background of what we are doing here. We are having these consultative meetings because ZANU PF, the government, and the Parliament of Zimbabwe have left out the people in the diaspora. The people in the diaspora have not been given a platform to speak. They have not been given a date or time where they can have their day in a consultative meeting with the parliamentarians and so forth. We are not there on the list of the dates and venues and areas that were published by the Zimbabwe Parliament, which means if you are in the diaspora, you don't mean anything to them. You don't mean anything to ZANU PF. You don't mean anything to the government. You don't need to be consulted. Your views don't matter. So, because there are 5 million Zimbabweans in the diaspora, why would they choose to alienate such a big constituency? They don't talk about us at all when they are talking about important things that concern us. You remember Ziambi, Minister of Justice, at some point, he indicated that this will lead to the diaspora vote, to the establishment of the diaspora vote that we have been fighting for. But what the heck? Why do you want to talk about us without us? Why do you want to pass a bill that talk about us without the involvement of us? That doesn't make sense. People can come here and argue and talk about resources and finances and money and whatever they can talk about. But there are many ways to kill a cat. There are many ways to doing this. We, the people, we, the citizens, if it is about money, if they had approached us, if they had spoken to us, if they had bothered to consult us, would have told them that we are prepared to finance the team that will move around the diaspora. That is very easy. When they come here to North America will buy them tickets and put them in hotels, and then they will organize consultative meetings, and then we do that. When they are going to the United Kingdom picks up the bill, they pay for their airfare. I'm just saying, if that's the excuse that they are giving, but of course the government is supposed to be taking care of that, but that cannot be used as an excuse. And even if it is used as an excuse, we could also do virtual meetings, virtual consultative meetings. We have experience of organizing virtual consultative meetings. We have done that. We've done lots of important meetings, very important meetings, including involving members of parliament, ministers, and so forth, and vice presidents of other countries, first ladies. We have done that. We have hosted those programs, and we have not had any problems. We know how to organize, and we know, the security issues that we have to circumvent, that we have to ensure. We could have had a discussion around that, and they could have done that. But the truth of the matter is, the parliament, the government of Zimbabwe, doesn't want us to get involved. I know they are afraid of hearing our views, but we are not having any of that. We'll continue to organize these meetings. We'll continue to organize our own consultative meetings, and we'll compile the information that we are getting from there, and we'll send it over to Parliament with making references and dates and times and everything of these meetings that we are having. Right now, we are already working on the next consultative meeting, where we are going to involve members of Parliament. We'll ask ZANU-PF members of Parliament to be in that meeting. We'll also ask opposition members of Parliament to be in that meeting. They will not say no. They cannot say no to us, because we put them in that parliament. We voted for them to be in that parliament, whether they are ZANU-PF or MDC or CCC or whatever, or independent. They were voted by the citizens, and we will demand that they attend these meetings. And we'll be informing you. We'll keep in touch. We'll let you know when the next one will be, but it should be in the next week or so. We will definitely do that, and we'll continue to work with the church so that this is not heralded as political or belonging to certain political formations or individuals. So we'll continue to work with the church. And if you have any ideas, please feel free to get in touch. If you have a member of parliament that you know will be willing to be part of this, please talk to them. Go ahead and speak to them and give us their name. We'll hold as many as possible. If we get 10 members of parliament, we'll get them in. 2 people, 2 or 3, 4 per session, and we'll organize another one. We'll organize another one until all of them have answered the people's questions. It is important, it is imperative, Zimbabweans, that we hold these members of parliament to account. Remember, you voted for them, you supported them, especially opposition members of parliament. You guys in the diaspora did a lot. You played a big role in ensuring that they were elected. So you have to demand that they come. So we'll hold them to account. We'll bring them to the platform, and they will tell us what's the deal, what they are going to do about the bill, if they are going to vote yes or no, what they are going to do to ensure that the bill doesn't pass. Even those in ZANU-PF, will take them to task. They will have to face the people, answer people's questions, and we go on like that. So we are going to do this. Change Radio is going to do this for you, because this is the people's radio station. It is your radio station. You support it. You pay subscriptions, and we are doing our part. We're playing our role to make sure that the people have a say. The citizens have a say, because this is important. But as we round up, folks, I am very encouraged, very, very encouraged by what I heard today, what I saw today in this Zoom meeting. It was a Zoom meeting. I know we're broadcasting it everywhere else, but it was a Zoom meeting. I'm very encouraged, and I'm proud of the church, but in particular the Methodist, and of course the Zimbabwe Council of Churches, for speaking out and for deciding to stand with the people. The fight goes on, folks. A luta continua. Let's continue to educate people Let's continue to talk to our relatives in Zimbabwe. Anambuya vedu, anasekuru, anababa, nani, vaningina. Let's tell them what ZANU-PF is trying to do, that they're trying to extend their term. But it's not just an extension of the term. It's an extension of the suffering of the masses. It's an extension of the bad roads that we are seeing, the poor infrastructure, the poor education, the poor health facilities. Nurses are on strike today. It's an extension of all that. It's an extension of the people's poverty. There's nothing new, nothing different that ZANU-PF is going to do in this term extension. So we say no to that, and let's continue to fight. Mr. Ngube, are you there? Okay, I thought there was someone who was there. But yes, thank you so much. God bless you. Let's continue the fight. Until next time, God bless you.